Yo, what's up? I'm KallaTheYapper, and I'm back with another reaction. Now, this reaction, y'all been waiting for me to get on this reaction. Over the last 3 days, I've heard nothing about how terrible this video is, about how misleading this video is, how dishonest this video is. And your boy ready to cook. I just finished streaming Act 10, a 7-hour stream. I only finished it probably about, what was it? 30 minutes ago, because right now it's 10:21. I don't remember what time I even ended it, but it wasn't even that long ago before I just looked at my phone and started munching on my food a little bit, and then started looking through my phone, checking out, seeing what videos or whatever exist. Right? I'm only just now starting my timer for when I start the overall reaction. Granted, it's gonna be behind by a couple minutes, but nonetheless, your boy ready to get into this. I'm ready to see what retarded ass take was given. I got both streams pulled up. I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all. I got Act 9 Part 1, and I got Act 10, the entire playthrough, right? And we about to get into it. I'll also be using my phone to bounce around. Hopefully, YouTube provides me some certain timestamps throughout my playthroughs of all three videos or live streams, so that I can have even a more accurate of a picture with for evidence I wish to bring to the table. So let us begin with this video.
I cannot believe that yet again, I was wrong. If you watched my last video, you would know that I was genuinely convinced that once the 6.6 update for Genshin Impact goes live, the complaining would just end right there. I was expecting the timeline on social media would just be people bragging about getting Nicole early.
And what's so crazy, he's going to do here, he's going to paint this as, oh, because of the people that hates Genshin Impact that I only look at, therefore they represent the entire Genshin community. That's what he's doing here at the start of this reaction. Let that be known. I also need to make this clear as well that I didn't say earlier. KallaTheYapper has blatantly spread misinformation related to Genshin Impact already before, aka the character buffs and other things we were getting in the version update for, I believe it was Genshin Impact 6.2, I believe. He spread blatant misinformation related to those character buffs that were objectively a good thing and tried to paint it as, oh, well, you have to play a 30-minute story to get it, when those stories were only less than 10 minutes long. So let that be clear. Then, Brand Online, someone who gives this man so much grace whenever he reacts to his videos and the takes he gives, he called out KallaTheYapper for the misinformation he was spreading. Saint Tontas, KallaTheYapper's butt buddy, got onto the situation and started attacking Brand Online. And KallaTheYapper made a community post painting himself as a victim for how dare someone criticize anything I have to say. Then, not too long ago, after all that happened, not too long ago, probably like a couple months back at this point, this nigga KallaTheYapper posted something on Twitter talking about oh, Hoya versus Scared of Withering Waves, because they posted their live stream for their next update on the same day as Withering Waves. Despite the fact the day for Genshin's live streams have always had a schedule, Withering Waves is the one that's always posting their live stream updates for the next update on the same day as Genshin Impact. Always. It's always been the case. Repeatedly. We have multiple instances of it. So he was wrong there. He got so caught up in the tribalism sauce that he said something so retarded and got clowned on, rightfully so. This was the second time he got clowned on Twitter for his dumbass takes. Another thing too. Another reason why I am extremely skeptical and won't believe half the shit that comes out of his mouth in the next couple of minutes, because this is going to be a lengthy reaction, by the way, is because he made a video about the 5.7 Archon Quest, lied about what happened, lied about the effect that the Archon Quest had on the overall story, and so on and so forth. He lied about so much shit throughout that reaction. It was one of my first reaction videos on my channel. If you don't believe me, I advise that you go backwards in time to check those videos. It was my first reaction video that got 1,000 views on it, I believe. I'll probably put it up at the end of this reaction. Right? So I want to point this picture for y'all before we continue, for how he's about to form his argument.
in their polls, or talking about how this was the best story quest the game had ever seen. And so
It was blatantly the best. It's one of the best. Niggas saying otherwise are blatantly lying out of their fucking mouth. You wanna know why? Because it's the time to doom post about Genshin Impact. Right before we go to Snezhnaya, right before we get a new elemental reaction that characters who are both what Dendro and Cryo would be able to have access to, and it's not a lunar based type reaction. Granted, we're gonna get some lunar-esque light reaction amongst that as well, but still point proven, right? And on top of that, people are doom posting about Sandrone because they dare to like show off more of her legs and give her a shorter skirt and not have Pantalone in her gameplay, despite the fact Pantalone was destroyed along with her as well, right? And people are bitching about, oh, she has a special animation that's locked behind C6. So, with all this going on right now, this is so convenient for everyone to come out the woodwork and doom post the shit out of Genshin Impact. Right? Especially story-wise, considering the fact that Wuwa's 3.3 story, especially the main story content, and excusing Dinia's story quest, that whole story for 3.3, the finale of Lahairoi, was not the best. At best, it's a 5 out of 10. Dead ass. And I hold that position. Absolutely. But we ain't about to get into all that right now.
So, to be honest, I was ready for the update to stop the whole movement. Well, it didn't.
The movement didn't go anywhere. Let's be honest. This boycott, niggas have boycotted Genshin so many times, you think the game would have, EOS by now, but it didn't do anything.
Oh my god, it didn't. Surprisingly, the exact opposite happened. Because the moment the servers went live and people actually sat down to play through the story quest, the community completely crashed out. And I mean literally, reaching
So they're debating about world quests. And what are they saying? Oh, it was bad because if you didn't do the world quest, you didn't understand half the shit that was happening? Is that what the argument is?
trending levels of debates and frustration. People are giving it
6.6 gets a 4 out of 10. By the way, Trash Quest doesn't claim. Certifies the new title of Nothing Ever Happens Impact. Wow, nothing ever happens when blatant shit did actually happens. Like, you know how Irminsul is no longer a thing now, and the new pseudo Irminsul is, the pyramid in the desert. That's the new Irminsul now. What you mean nothing ever happens? A tree that's existed since the beginning of this planet is gone now. The fuck is this person talking about? Zero consequences to anything as usual. Really? Zero consequences? Niggas must have forgotten Mavwika punched a hole in the sky, revealing or peeling back that layer of the false sky. And when you look up in the sky of Natlan, you see the moon fragments there. So that's a blatant fucking lie. Sumeru's desert would have, been destroyed. Or rather, the entirety of Sumeru, and if not the entire planet or of Teyvat, would have been wiped off the map and destroyed and everything on it if Nahida didn't cleanse Rukkhadevada's data from Irminsul, because she was infected with forbidden knowledge and she needed to be cleansed in order for Irminsul to be safe. So we got a whole bunch of examples of things changing in the story blatantly, even physical changes to the area. Like how, after we defeat Dottore, there's a whole chunk of tree left behind by the old Irminsul that was burned away, literally sticking out of the fucking ground. Actually, you know what? Let's do this now. It was somewhere around the end of my playthrough where I went to that damn tree trunk. Let me rewind. It was around here. Nope, it was after that. Around here. Right here. You see this? This area? Let me turn this volume off for that. You see this? This is where the burned tree trunk is. This is the last piece of Irminsul from that tree that exists right here. It's burned, crispy. No effect, no consequences on the world. Did niggas forget that what we just recently did in Narcry as well? Where now the real moon, the true real moon that belongs to Teyvat is now within Teyvat's orbit. And you could actually see the real moon now. Did niggas forget that? The false moon in the sky is no longer exists. Zabai, a recent Adeptus character that was mentioned in passing one time back in version 1 of the game, guess what? She is now with us. She has been freed from her prison in the false moon's shadow. Is that not a consequence? What about the destruction of the Hydro throne for the Hydro Archon? Is that not a consequence? That bitch don't exist no more. AKA, there can be no more Hydro Archon. The only thing that exists now of anything Hydro is the Hydro Dragon Sovereign. The Pyronosis that was used by Nahida in the same quest, right here, was used to destroy Irminsul. Not only was it used to destroy Irminsul, it also self-destructed as well, destroying itself alongside Irminsul. No consequences, my ass. The death of the Torre. His actions led to the consequence of his death, which he technically wanted to, reach anyway, so. Oh, there's that. Whole bunch of consequences happen in this fucking story. To even argue that there's no such thing as consequences in this game is retarded.
Giving it low ratings, calling it a trash quest.
Yeah, probably by niggas who don't know anything about the lore of the game at all and love skipping through shit or speed running through it. Didn't do any world quests at all, which, mind you, this quest only succeeds in the way that it does thanks to world quests. Thanks to all them world quests we got in over 6 years of this game. To sit here and say that this quest failed because some niggas didn't pay attention to shit or didn't do certain things is retarded.
The content creators follow suit.
Content creators? Who are these niggas? Let's read. 6% ended up having such poor writing that I cried to stare at the screen in sheer confusion. So it's... these are valid criticism now, but they don't explain what the poor writing is. Sure, bro. Let's continue. I definitely live in a Sumeru bubble because I found out today people ain't liking the Archon quest. That's not a criticism of the Archon quest. That's a surprise to see people bitching about it when it's actually good. Let's continue. I feel so validated seeing the crash out on Twitter from the Archon quest because what the fuck that writing's supposed to be? AKA, these niggas don't understand what fucking happened on screen. And they're claiming that it's bad writing without actually explaining how it's bad writing. So-called good criticism.
God, man. And also, Irminsul's now been burned. Where are the consequences of that? Well, is anything that happened? No? You just allowed to do that because the Shade said so? Cool. Well,
bro, you see how she's framing that? You see how dishonest of a frame that is? This is the couple seconds I saw from DJ King's video like a day or two ago. And I was just like, I was blown away by this. She's literally sitting here claiming that, you can just do that because the Shade said so. No. As the scene showed, don't worry, I got y'all. Because, around here, I do my due diligence. I don't sit here and just say shit out my mouth. So let's go ahead and rewind this. Let's go back to this moment, shall we? This Irminsul was not destroyed just because the Shade said so. It's because the avatar of Irminsul invoked her authority as the keeper of Irminsul and was like, bro, we got to destroy this thing. It has been polluted beyond recognition. It needs to go. Right? She had a direct conversation with the Shades.
give your verdict now.
She even had them give their verdict for whether or not what she's about to do is fine for her to do. AKA, she's seeking even higher permission. Not only is she, exerting her authority as the Dendro Archon, aka their avatar of Irminsul, she's also seeking the final say-so from the higher beings on this echelon of gods to get their approval, or rather, to get their thoughts on the matter.
wisdom, Mahakusaladhama. Are you certain that you wish to exercise your authority to destroy Irminsul?
I did just blown away. Hold up. Screenshot. A glaive is a. Let's see how. Hold up.
It represents both your roots and your finest accomplishments. You truly intend to abandon the very thing you have always fought for?
This is my decision. Irminsul has been corrupted beyond
The Shades have no say-so over Irminsul on top of that, right? Because if they had absolute say-so over Irminsul, they would have stopped her immediately. But they don't have authority over Irminsul. The one that has authority over Irminsul has always been the Dendro Archon. She is the direct avatar to the damn tree. She literally manifested from existence off of the tree itself. Niggas forgot about that when it came down to the Dendro Archon, apparently. So this content creator, right, being like, oh, she was allowed to destroy the tree, and the Shades were just like, oh, that's cool, that's fine, which is completely not what happened. It is so off base, and it's retarded as shit. But yeah, we're gonna take what she said as valid criticism. If you go back to literally look at the scene, it literally gives a whole different context in comparison, or rather characterization of the scene versus what this person is saying. And yet we're taking this as valid criticism. Miss me with this nonsense.
Well,
let's rewind.
God, man. And also, Irminsul's now been burned. Where are the consequences of that? Well, is anything bad happened?
The consequences of this is basically this. This is the consequence. Irminsul was a tree that existed during the time of the dragons. It was not something created by the heavenly principles. It never belonged to them. Right? The only real consequence of this is that, A, any knowledge that was left in Irminsul, and the tree in particular, is lost forever. On top of that, this old tree that belonged to the old world order and was being used by the new world order is long gone as well. Meaning, potentially, Thanes, the heavenly principles, no longer has access to the tree to maintain his fate weaving machine that dictates the fate of everyone in this world. Right? Because now the people of Sumeru have direct access to it. They literally can control it now. Something would have never been thought possible in the olden times of Genshin's world. There was never a record stating that, oh man, the human race being able to have authority over this divine tree. But now they do. Because now it's in their fucking backyard, in their open desert sandy place. That's a consequence in itself. Humanity now has operation over the damn Irminsul information. Something that honestly would have never happened again if Thanes was wide awake and not asleep right now in dormancy. Right? That's another consequence. That's a blatant consequence.
Happened? No, you just allowed to do that because the Shade said so. Cool. What was the point?
And so
What was the point to destroy Irminsul? Because the Toray have polluted Irminsul beyond redemption, beyond recognition. There we go. It's literally stated out of Nahida's mouth. Right here. This is my decision. Irminsul has been corrupted beyond redemption. Meaning, guess what? There's nothing they can do to remove the Toray while keeping the tree, because it's already been polluted by the Toray and by the things he's done. There's nothing that can be done to cleanse it from this pollution that he brought, or that he has done to the tree. So it has to be destroyed, because if we don't destroy Irminsul, the Toray gets to stick around. Which is why we shut off the tree to keep him from leaving out of it. That's one. And all the data in Irminsul that was empowering him, guess what? That was stripped from him as well and put into the mausoleum of King Deshret. So not only, so it's like, what are we talking about here, bro? Let's continue.
I was surprised. I was wrong, but why? What really happened here? The quest couldn't be that bad, right? I mean, this is the story that was hyped up for so long. After looking into it more, I realized that the crash out actually kinda makes sense.
No, the fuck it doesn't. Anyone with fucking working eyes and ears know it doesn't. Let's listen.
But before all that, if you want to see more content from me,
I don't want
keep
to.
up
Your content is ass cheeks, bro. Let's go ahead and stop that nonsense. Let's rewind.
with my videos. Without wasting any more of your time, let's just get right into it. It all started with the length of the story quest and how that time was actually used.
It was used perfectly fine. We didn't waste time on meaningless shit. It stayed at a good, consistent pace, moving us through the story. We had a little bit of puzzles here and there, but guess what? The story kept moving forward. There was no waste of time, if that's about to be his argument.
This might sound like a small thing to you, but it is actually important because it gives you a lot of context about the situation. 8 hours is a long time to sit.
And here we go. Right now, he's painting it as if the entire Archon quest of 6.6 is 8 hours long. Not even at showing, because it's showing on screen by the screenshot. Acts 9 and 10 are combined together in this video to show that it's 8 hours long. But if you do any type of due diligence on your own, like your boy did, obviously, multiple times, even when I was streaming, I needed to see how long was Act 9 and 10 individually. Right? Let's get into it. Because this is a crash out on my part. Let's see. Genshin Impact Act 10. Not quite Act 10. Okay. This shows Act 10. The entire Act 10 playthrough. This was 10 days ago. This was the one I was looking at to make sure I was, okay, how much time I had left, how far I went into the playthrough, this and the third. It's 4 hours of a playthrough. With no commentary or nothing, right? Granted, it varies from person to person. Some people played both quests, like this one right here. This video right here. Y'all can't see the rest of the title, but it says, we waited 3 years for this Genshin Impact Act 9 and 10 Archon Quest reaction. AKA, he did both playthroughs in one day. Here's another one. Oh, actually, he did it separately. He did Act 10 by itself. So, this Act 10 playthrough, 5 hours. Arnold streams the game and he loves going in depth to lore conversations and this, that, and the third. So obviously that's why his playthrough is 10 hours long. Good lord, brother. Granted, I did 7 hours worth of stream, so I can't really talk much. Oh, this is the video right here that he pulled up. Shows combination of Acts 9 and 10. She also played Acts 9 and 10. That's why her playthrough is 10 hours long. He did Acts 9 and 10. That's why his playthrough is 8 hours long. You see what I'm saying here? To sit here and paint it as, oh, the entire Archon quest for version 6.6 was just 8 hours long as a whole is bullshit. Because he's not making it clear that Acts 9 and 10 are separate from each other. Granted, of course, it connects to each other, obviously, because it's the fucking story of the entire update for Acts 9 and 10. We've been getting 2 acts per update back to back, with the exception of probably like one update during version 6, the entirety of version 6. Right? Except for like the one. We've had 2 acts drop back to back. Actually, let's do this. Let's do this. Acts 1 and 2. Because 6.0, at the start of 6.0, we got 2 acts. Literally. Oh, damn, this is the full Nightland Archon quest. This is outdated, it's labeled as. Okay, let's continue. This is Act 1, 3 hours long. This is Act 2. We got Acts 1 and 2 in version 6.0. This is also 6.0, by the way. So, if we're combining shit together, the entirety of Nightcraw's first 2 acts alone is about, what, 6-7 hours long? 6-7? Ew, I'm disgusted by myself for letting that fly in my mouth. But you get the point, right? The framing of this is so dishonest. And on top of that, it's coming off as, oh, people are forced to play the entire act of both 9 and 10 all together in one day. When no, you aren't. I literally played it over the course of 3 days, or 2 days, technically speaking. I played the first half of Act 9. Then 2 days later, I played the rest of Act 9. Then a couple hours later, I played the entirety of Act 10. And on top of that, you could leave the story at any point in time, which was a function they put in the game. So that if you wanted to take a break from the story, you could. You weren't trapped in it indefinitely. You had the option to leave at any point in time, and they saved your progress. Let's continue.
Sit through a story. I don't think I need to tell you that. Yet, if you look at most of the complaints about it online.
Let's read. Including fourth of useless dialogue horrible. Of course, not even a real criticism, just saying it's useless dialogue, but not giving an example of it. Yeah, sure. Good criticism. 8 hours to finish. Yep, because people are accumulating the entire thing as if it's one whole act when it's 2 separate acts. Let's continue. Just finished the Archon quest. I think people overreacted and think a lot of people misunderstood some things. It certainly was great in some parts. I'll elaborate when I wake up. At the same time, I would be lying if I say this arc didn't feel ridiculously rushed. The act was not rushed. It was paced well. To sit here and say that it was rushed, yet don't explain how it was rushed when we spent enough time with setup, which was the entirety of Act 9. Act 9 was setup. The first half of Act 10 was follow through on the setup from Act 9. Then the latter half of Act 10 was us, boom, locking it in. Everything is set. We're ready to go. Let's finish the story. Spent time on things that needed to be spent time on. Other things, like, for example, going through like character interactions that could add a little bit more time to your playthrough was optional. You didn't have to talk to those characters. But if you chose to, guess what? That was just more time added on to your playthrough. So you can get their perspective of the situation. See their character interactions that you don't really see a lot, or didn't see very many interactions of said characters during our time in Sumeru 3 years ago. So on and so forth.
Online. The word everyone keeps using to describe it is rushed. Brother, that is a story quest that takes as much time as a day job. You could be getting money instead of playing this story quest. So how can it be rushed?
Ooh, boy.
Well, the logic from the community is actually pretty simple. The length of the story quest does not equal the quality of the quest. So
Yeah, that's obvious logic, but that doesn't apply here. And what I mean by it doesn't apply, no one's saying that the length of the story means that the story was good. No one's arguing that. No one's even making that statement. The statement that what's actually being said here is that this quest actually had good writing, unlike the 3.3 story for Wuthering Waves finale for La Harroy. But we ain't gonna get into that right now. In comparison, this quest used lore that they've been building up and had established over years before this quest dropped. Meaning everything connected and made sense. They even gave a glossary or whatever of information, or the guiding notes feature, so that in case you were did not know who said character was from XYZ thing, it literally explained it to you in the guiding notes. So if you didn't do any world quests or didn't do any type of limited time events where these characters did meet each other canonically, because every event that happened in the story, it is canonic to the story. It's directly a part of the timeline. Don't understand why they haven't made those stories permanent yet, but it is what it is for now, right? It helped the player understand information that they didn't have to go play a world quest to play first before playing this Archon quest. They didn't have to fill it with no requirements. They could just play it, and it would give them the information immediately. That's why the guiding notes feature exists.
So really, it just comes down to how the writer spent those 8 hours. And let's just say it is not that good. For the first hour, everyone was locked in because the stakes were ridiculously high immediately. You had Kale having these intense, ominous dreams, Nahida slipping into a coma, and the entire nation scrambling to organize evacuations. They threw in help from APAP, and out of nowhere, Pantalone shows up to make things even more tense. Side notes, but why does this guy have Recreator as his Fatui introduction instead of Pantalone?
Because that's his fucking title name as a Fatui Harbinger. Did you forget that, Mr. I Don't Skip Lore?
Nobody knows, but who cares? He looks...
Brother, this has got to be the most retarded shit ever. This is like saying why Child doesn't have his actual name which is, by the way, Child's real name is Ajax. By the way, that's Child's real name. Child's real name, Ajax, does not appear on his dialogue boxes when he talks. It's either Child or Tartaglia. Or more so, it's Tartaglia that appears on his dialogue cards, right? But for his Harbinger name, that's what pops up. It's always been the case. Like, what type of take is this? This is like saying, why does Dottoro's real name doesn't pop up, but instead his Harbinger name pops up? What type of retarded ass shit? Do we need to pull this up? Good Lord. Actually, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do this right now. Genshin Impact all for Tui introduction. Let's take a look, shall we? This was 10 days ago. Oh yeah, let's get it. Let's just show this off real quick. I'm gonna use this person's video a little bit. Let's let that load a little bit. Let's switch from auto to 480. All right, let's just play this a little bit.
At last, Mondstadt's rodent ruler in the flesh.
Boom. El Senora, the 8th Fatui Harbinger, also known as the Fairy Lady. But do you know what her real name is? Her real name is Rosalind, by the way. But they don't put it up here because they're not going by their real names. They're going by their aliases, their titles as Fatui Harbingers. What type of retarded ass complaint is that to be like, why isn't he using his real name when every Fatui Harbinger has been using their literal Harbinger name the entire game? What type of dumbass shit is this?
He looks pretty and gay, and that is a W in my books.
Of course it is. Because every damn thing got to be gay, right? Anyway.
He knows, but who cares? He looks pretty and gay, and that is a W in my books.
What are you, fucking gay?
So everyone was sitting there thinking this was going to be the most insane, high-pressure quest the game had ever put out. But
it most definitely was one of them. Not the most, but it was one of them.
After that intense setup, would it surprise you if I said that the common consensus about the quest is that for the next few hours, the tension completely vanished and everyone got bored out of their minds? Why is that, Glaive? How could that possibly happen? The game sticks you into a brutal loop of just dialogue, and then walking, and then fighting a small group of enemies, to another dialogue, to another walking, to another
There wasn't much walking being done in this playthrough, by the way. Just to let it be. So niggas spamming this whole, oh, it was walking dialogue. Walking dialogue is like, no, it's a majority. It was dialogue. Barely much walking happening. Barely much fighting either. And then the way they're even framing more endless dialogue as if this was like useless dialogue throughout the entire playthrough is also retarded as shit, because all this was important shit. And along with the character interactions we got, because again, setting it up for the final confrontation. Let me read this. This is the Archon Quest. Model is getting bored. It's the same thing. Getting a mechanism at the last minute, making a connection with everyone, adding some glittering and boom, and that's fine. Nothing is creative. It's just the same script with different characters. Again, the dishonesty of the framing of what happened to water it down in the most simplest of terms to then say, oh, it was bad. Good Lord in heaven.
fighting a small group of enemies.
I would love for someone to tell me what moment in dialogue was useless that they could have cut, that was meaningless. I would love for someone to tell me in depth.
Another dialogue, to another walking, to another dialogue.
And to even act like the way these dialogue scenes were framed were just like, oh, characters were just standing still, we just looked at one still image the entire time, therefore boring, is also not true. I spent the last two days and a couple hours finishing both acts. There was nothing boring about it at all. It was intriguing. to see character interactions. It was intriguing to see these lore important characters that we've known from desert lore for years at this point, for 3 years actually, show up in physical form and see their interactions to the new world, or to the new age of humanity and whatnot, and recognize that they're relics of the past. Seeing how they parallel to other playable characters like Kaveh and Al-Haytham, for example. Seeing Apep, the Dendro Dragon, interact with them. Seeing Lilupar, a character from a world quest, also be a part of this as well. So on and so forth. Connecting and what's the word I'm looking for? Renovating the mausoleum, the mausoleum, King Deshret's pyramid, essentially, and the Aru, essentially reworking it so that it can connect to, or rather be, the new Irminsul. Well, after they destroy the old one, essentially becoming the new Akasha terminal at the same time. Like, what?
A small group of enemies, to another dialogue, to another walking, to
I would love for him to provide an example to further prove his point.
another.
Because just seeing niggas type on Twitter, that's not enough for me. I need to see a visible example of how boring all this dialogue was. I need to see it. I need someone to prove it blatantly. Where's my evidence? Or rather, where's these people's evidence? Where's your evidence?
Dialogue, to another walking, puzzle solving, to another walking, to another dialogue. I think you get the point. It feels like a bloated world quest filler, and I think we all
Bloated world quest filler. You mean those same world quests that came back into play into the main Archon quest, which is what this whole quest was built on, which why everything made sense the way that it did, and nothing feels like something was pulled out of the ass. Sure, bro. Anyway.
dialogue. I think you get the point. It feels like a bloated world quest filler, and I think we all know that deeply in our souls.
No, we don't. To act like everyone agrees with that is bullshit. The only people who agree with that is people in this comment section and your subscribers. Naturally, because they don't bother playing World Quest. They skip that shit. Let's be fucking for real. Anyway, let's continue. Most niggas don't even do World Quest in this fucking game. Because they don't want to do it because it doesn't have a skip button. That's the main reason why most people don't want to touch it.
By the time the game suddenly remembered, it had an Archon quest to finish. It had to cram everything into the final stretch.
They had to cram everything to the final stretch. Explain what exactly needed to be crammed in. I would love to know what exactly that was, because we're being so vague about what was crammed in. Explain. Please explain what needed to be crammed in. I would love to know. What was crammed in? When this quest was a direct continuation of what Kale's dream was. What else was crammed in? Learning about Dottore? Learning about the King Deshret and everything related to him directly from his servants? Like, what was crammed in? I would love to know. What filler stuff was crammed in that didn't need to be in the quest? Please explain. Because if you can't explain that, but immediately just say, oh, it was crammed in, I'm not going to take anything you say seriously as a story critique. Anyway, let's read. What's this say? Why was all the fighting so crammed together? We got from only pure dialogue for a 7-hour to then having a final hour being fighting the Fatui troops with the weirdest teams you can conceive. Who cares that you had to fight the Fatui with some random characters slapped together? Who the fuck cares? That's not an issue. And then saying the only fighting was the Fatui in the desert at the start. No, it wasn't. Like, what? Come on now. Let's read. Let's continue. Literally, they rushed through most interesting parts. It's crazy. Don't even get me started on how half of the quest was filled with the most filler dialogue ever. AKA, they're not explaining what exactly was the filler dialogue. On top of that, what interesting things were rushed past? Please explain, because there's no explanation to that. But apparently, this is a valid critique. Let's continue. That quest was so long, and the actual part that actually matters with its lore and stuff was so short. Oh my god, that's probably the most messed up storytelling. Even Fontaine did way better than that. Again, they don't explain what they mean. They're being ultra vague about their criticism and expect this shit to be taken seriously.
All the actual action was jammed together right around the very end. You go from endless dialogue bloats straight into an
Dialogue bloats. He's framing it as if it's useless dialogue that happened that had no contribution to the story when it blatantly did.
together right around the very end. You go from endless dialogue bloats straight into an arguably absolute cinema combat.
Which, mind you, couldn't have happened if they didn't do proper setup leading up to this moment. Because, guess what? If the story was as rushed as niggas claimed it to be, this boss fight would have happened in 2 hours of a playthrough. And then that's it. This entire Archon quest, or rather, both acts would have been 1 hour long each. And then boom, we would have got the boss fight. And the only way that happens is them by literally them rushing past character interactions that were interesting, that blatantly happened. The setup for everything to click, to make sense. And of course, all the lore and all this important other shit too, as well. Right, that happened. Right? That's the only way this story is rushed, but that didn't happen. They took the time to flesh out all these things before we got to the end. There is no way in hell anyone in good faith is claiming that this story quest was rushed, knowing damn well they spent lengthy time flushing shit out.
Suddenly, you're throwing hands with a Fatui using the weirdest, most unoptimized trial teams imaginable.
Who cares? Who genuinely gives a fuck? No one's sitting here caring. Who the fuck cares about the team setup that they gave you? This team still works. Dendro application, Pyro application, Animo DPS that does swirl reaction with Pyro. And Dendro is burning the enemy thanks to Burgeon reaction. What is there to complain about? You still can get this boss fight done with this trial team setup.
Right before jumping into a massive, heavily teased boss fight that unfortunately also has its own problems, but too long didn't read.
Such as, what are those problems?
The community is upset.
The community? You mean these few thousand people who don't represent the entire community, but represent a small subsect of the community that are giving vague ass claims of what happened and not giving examples of why shit was rushed. Again, this point here, I just read this. They claimed that it was rushed and that half of the quest was filled with filler dialogue ever, but don't bother showing what the filler dialogue was. Yet this is somehow a valid critique of the 6.6 story? Make it make sense.
That's because the story spends hours dragging its feet, only to panic sprints through the actual climax.
Hours dragging its feet? No, it was well paced and we were moving at a breakneck speed. There was no time wasted doing too much or too little. We did just enough and moving that shit along.
When you spend 6-7 hours doing nothing and then
nice funny 6-7 joke.
Resolve a decade-long build-up in 10 minutes, obviously the end.
Resolving the decade-long build-up in 10 minutes. It was not resolved in 10 minutes. If that was the case, the story quest, both acts would have been 5 minutes long each. Unless you're talking about the boss fight. Yeah, this boss fight was, quick, but it didn't happen immediately. We had a puzzle to go through, evade being destroyed by him before we got to the boss fight. And the boss fight lasted for a good amount of time. And also, why are we acting like boss fights need to drag on for 30 minutes? Boss fights in these games don't need to drag on that long, especially if it's story boss fights. They don't need to drag on for a long periods of time. Did the boss fight for the 3.3 story of Wuthering Waves drag on for more than 10 minutes? If not more than 5 minutes? The answer is no, because that boss fight is relatively quick to get through. It's not something that demands you to play for a lengthy amount of time. It's quick. That goes for all these gacha games. Like the boss fight in Wu Ling against Neferith. You think that boss fight is meant to take more than 10 minutes, if not more than 5 minutes? No, it's quick. It tells you what to do. You know how to play the game because you've been playing the game for at least a couple months at this point. So you know how the system and mechanics of these characters work. So when you defeat Neferith by doing the jump into the air and slam down to stun her while she's in her dragon form or in her giant tall swordswoman form, guess what? It speeds up the pace of the fight, making it go by quicker. What type of complaint is this?
Doing nothing, and then resolve a decade-long build-up
And then
in
on top of that, the boss fight had 2 phases.
10 minutes. Obviously, the ending is going to feel rushed. But while the pacing is horrible, there is another thing.
Again, they don't explain the pacing. They just say dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. That's not enough of a justification, nor is it a good criticism to claim that the story was dragging on. Give an example. Prove it. Do not keep saying dialogue, dialogue, dialogue as if that's a criticism.
Thing that is being debated very heatedly on the internet, and it's about permanent consequences, or more
Here we go again. People claiming that there are no permanent consequences when there have always been blatant permanent consequences to actions that have happened in this story. And I mentioned it earlier at the start of this reaction.
specifically the complete lack of them. So much so that the community labeled this game Nothing Ever Happens Impact. And
Which is the biggest lie ever told. Anyone who's been paying attention to what's happened in this story ever since Mondstadt knows that to be the case. What was Mondstadt's crisis? Oh, they were being attacked by the dragon that was corrupted by abyssal energy, known as the Valen. Did we not deal with the Valen and stop him and purify him? Yes or no? What was the consequences of Durin being the enemy? Oh, well, he was attacking Mondstadt. What do we do to stop him from doing that? Oh, guess what? We cut off his power source, then destroyed the abyssal crystals off his back, and simultaneously cleansed him of the abyss. And set his ass free. And now he gets to go fly off and like enjoy flying around the skies. That's a consequence. It's from, saving his ass. What about in Leeway? What was the consequence in Leeway? Oh, the quote-unquote death of the Geo Archon. Right? What was the consequence of that? Guess what? The people of Leeway no longer can rely on the Geo Archon for guidance no more. On top of that, they have no way to mint Mora anymore. Because he did that. The Geo Archon was the one who minted Mora. But guess what? Since he's no longer the Geo Archon and they do not possess the Gnosis in Leeway, they can't mint Mora anymore. So they have to think of a substitute. That's a consequence. Let's move on. Inazuma. What was going on in Inazuma? Oh, that's right. The nation was closed off. Vision bearers had their visions taken from them and slapped onto that statue. And the Raiden Shogun, along with the puppet, refused to remove her rules and what she did. Consequence of defeating her, the ban or the restriction from leaving was uplifted. Had decided to rethink and reevaluate her understanding of eternity in both her character story quests, both Act 1 and 2. Act 1 disproved her original thought process of what eternity is, and then Act 2 further cemented that by showing that her sister's version of eternity was actually the path to go. What also happened? What else happened in Inazuma? I'm trying to remember. Oh, that's about it that I can think of right now for Inazuma. Oh, consequence. The Harbingers got their hands on the Electro-Gnosis, and simultaneously, one of the Harbingers died, aka El Senora. She was the first antagonist death in the whole game. So-called no consequences.
And looking at the reality of the situation.
Again, claiming there was no consequences, but not giving an example of it. And this whole bullshit of real consequences, acting as if the consequences that happen in the story aren't real consequences to the action, or rather to the cause and effect. of the character's decisions and actions in the story, it's also fucking retarded when it blatantly is. No way in good faith can someone sit here and say nothing ever happens in Genshin's story as in terms of consequence of like cause and effect when we blatantly seen it multiple times.
Situation, it is hard to blame them. The biggest talking point for players was the burning of Irminsul, which is basically the giant mystical tree that acts as the world's central database for history and memories. This is supposed to be a catastrophic world-shifting event. I mean, it is the literal roots of all.
And the whole expecting something to happen thing, which is what do people expect to happen with the burning of Irminsul? Do they suspect the heavenly principles to wake up and come downstairs and be like, yo, what's going on with this tree? Did they expect the shades to stop Nahida from burning the tree when we literally get a story explanation for why they won't stop her? Or why they can't stop her because she's exercising her authority as the, you know, as I mentioned earlier, the fucking avatar of Irminsul? What did these people expect to happen? Did they expect the whole planet to just be destroyed? Because the ley lines still exist. It's just the giant chunk of the tree where all the ley lines connect to is gone. That's the only thing that's gone. And it's been replaced by, again, the Aru system.
All knowledge into that, but for some god knows what reason, the writers basically have the character shrug it off and say everything is fine because it was forced onto them anyway. Nahida literally grew from that tree, but she wasn't affected at all. All we got to show for the destruction of the world's database were 2 wilted ley lines and 1 guy going crazy just from being close to the city. Like, what is even going on?
Again, you know how dishonestly framed this shit is? Let's go back and listen to that one more time. Let's go back and listen to that one more fucking time.
But for some god knows what reason, the writers basically have the character shrug it off and say everything is fine because...
You want to know why that's the case, nigga? Do you want to know why? Because we spent the latter end of Act 9 and the beginning section, probably like the first, hour and 32 hours, setting up the entirety of Sumeru's most intelligent scholars to be able to transmit, along with Nahida, by the way, transmit the information, the core information of Irminsul into the Aru. The very thing niggas are claiming that we speed ran through, we rushed through the story. How can we rush through the story when the story spent time building this up? Again, let me go back. Literally. This whole moment right here, around the 2-hour mark of my playthrough, they're literally recalibrating the Aru system so that they could use it as their second Akasha system / fucking Irminsul. Hold up, I spent time trying to figure out this puzzle. Your boy had big brain play to figure out this puzzle. Big brain play.
It's over.
That wasn't as long as I thought it was gonna
Seriously,
be.
that was incredible. Standing on the chessboard felt completely different from standing on solid ground. And also... Oh, sorry. I'll save my thoughts for later. Thanks to the 3 of you for helping us out with this.
Actually, there was 2 segments like this where we're recalibrating this the system to link up and align with the Akasha system / Irminsul and whatnot. We had 2 segments dedicated to this. Like, how are niggas shocked in any way when we spent time building this shit up? Renovating it, recalibrating it so that it can link up properly, because the technology is based off of Celestia technology. That's why it can link up with the Akasha system as well. Like, how in good faith can you sit here and say that the story was rushed while simultaneously the story spent time building this up so that when we got to the whole Irminsul burning thing, it wouldn't have a grand negative effect on the world especially not to some egregious degree when all the data information was preserved. They made sure to preserve it, because you can't just burn Irminsul down and then think nothing bad was going to happen. Destroying Irminsul would lead to the destruction of the world, just like how the Irminsul tree being infected by the Abyss back in Sumeru's Archon Quest would have resulted in the destruction of the world, which is why they had to cleanse Ruka Devada. Guess what? In order to ensure the world continues to exist and be alive, and all the memories and stuff in it, they transferred the data from the Irminsul tree into the Aru system. Blatant fucking Lee. There's a whole scene for it, literally, that we had earlier. Actually, in the cutscene of the boss battle, actually, before Nahida arrives. Let's take a look at it. Actually, hold up. This shit gonna take a little minute to load. Hold up. Let's go to 360. Just Actually, you know what? I think using my playthrough actually is gonna slow us down. So let's go here. Let's do this. Genshin Impact 6.6 cutscene. Let's go here. This will be faster. Let's click this one. Literally built up time for this. The fact that they got a new Akasha system after they shut down the old one already shows you that there are consequences. Oh, I forgot. Another consequence that happened in the Sumeru Archon Quest. Actually, why does that have 0 likes? Anyway, I'm gonna give you that like. Like, another thing that happened in Sumeru's Archon Quest was the shutdown of the Akasha system. The thing that the people of Sumeru, especially the scholars of the academia, relied on heavily for information and knowledge and wisdom. Nahida shut it down, and she expelled the former sages along with the Grand Sage. How is that not a consequence? Let me keep going before to the point where Nahida arrives. Literally right here. Let's play the scene.
For the hopes and dreams of the masses.
Literally, this quest won't make sense at all if you did not play certain world quests, did certain Archon quests, nor did certain character story quests. This shit would not make sense at all to you. But because anyone who did all those things years prior, before this quest, it makes absolute sense for everything that connected the dots. Which is why it doesn't come off as an ass pull of, oh, nothing happened, blah, 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 when they blatantly explained it. With proper setup, using their lore properly to come to the conclusion that we came to. Let's continue.
Open the secret door on this enchanting night. May wisdom's light eradicate ignorance and darkness, and hereby fulfill our ancient vow. Commence data extraction.
Literally preserved and extracted the data from Irminsul to keep it preserved, so that when they destroyed this big ass corrupted tree, there would be no lingering negative effects on the world itself. Because guess what? The world would be destroyed and forever damaged if they didn't do what they had did. All the information of the world destroyed as well. Everything. This whole world would collapse entirely if they didn't do what they did with preserving the knowledge and information. It would literally be the end of the world. Whatever consequence niggas wanted from this quest of like, oh, the world destroying, if that was the consequence that you wanted, it was never gonna happen, considering the fact that the characters found a loophole, found a solution to solve the issue. Just as in any other story and fiction that you've ever listened to, watched, or played the game of, it's always been a thing that the heroes found another way to solve the issue. Found a loophole that would give them the fighting chance to win against the current issue, regardless if it was well written or not. This nigga was being empowered by Irminsul, and they were stripping him of his power, which is why they destroyed Tree. It was so much easier to defeat him thanks to all this hours worth of setup before this moment, by the way.
You cling to outdated ideals and stand in the way of progress. You will pay for interfering with the grandest experiment of all time.
Look how she come flying through the data stream of all that Irminsul knowledge just to get to the battlefield. And completely aura farmed on him. Anyway, back to the video.
Because it was forced onto them anyway. Nahida lit it off and say everything is fine because it was forced onto them anyway.
This line he's saying right here is a combination of people talking about the lore and explaining it and why it is objectively a good thing that the Irminsul tree was destroyed. But their predetermined fates seemingly will still be a thing since the data in Irminsul was preserved. But now, seemingly, with it now being in their hands, they could potentially remove this fate weaving system that dictates people's fates and have a more free-form life that isn't, predicted by Irminsul anymore. They have the potential to do such a thing.
They shrug it off and say everything is fine because it was forced onto them anyway. Nahida literally grew from that tree, but she wasn't affected at all.
She was affected, which is why Apep gave some of her life force to Nahida to sustain her. The reason Nahida wasn't affected at all because, as explained, surprisingly he doesn't show here, which don't worry, I got y'all, because your boy do the bare minimum. Literally near the end of the entire Archon quest, near the end, when we're talking with Nahida, she literally sits here and says out of her mouth, back to the fate thing, right? Right here, she says about Irminsul. With Irminsul burned, the flow of fate now carries way more possibilities. I will be watching carefully, aka fate has become more free-form with the destruction of Irminsul. At least the tree, not the data. Let's rewind back a little more.
Aru shoulders the responsibilities that once belonged to Irminsul. The situation was contained before it got out of hand, so Tevat's most vital information has largely been preserved.
The most vital information has been preserved. Meaning anything that isn't vital to Irminsul was destroyed. aka useless information that didn't need to stay. That won't have a grand effect on the world if it was lost. Well, now it's not an if, it is lost now.
Okay then, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about then, because that was the whole setup of the pyramid thing. It's become the new Irminsul,
and I even said it right here.
Any lingering pieces of Irminsul, the only consequence was we had to get rid of
influence over you, doesn't it? How will you cope now that it's gone?
The traveler asks, Irminsul has a strong influence over you, doesn't it? How will you cope now that it's gone?
There is no need to worry. Thanks to Nicole's extraordinary talents, my connection to Irminsul has been severed and transposed onto Aru.
Before I even say it out my mouth, before me in the past for like, how long? Actually, how long ago was this now? There was a 9 hour ago stream. Well, the stream started 9 hours ago. Or live stream was 9 hours ago. But I recently finished the stream not that long ago. They literally explain that thanks to Nicole, an angel whose powers and abilities surpass that of any Archon or any of these gods of the desert of Sumeru, because of the fact that she is an angel and has such extraordinary powers and abilities as such, is the reason why Nahida has no lingering pain, or there's no grand negative effect on Nahida's being. That's why. That's why she's not thinking, oh my God, how terrible this is. Oh man, what's going to happen to me? She's not having these thoughts because it's no need when her connection to the very essence of Irminsul has been transmitted to the other place that Irminsul's data is now in, aka the Aru system. Why would she get frantic over this? Why would she feel bad over it? She exercised her supreme authority as the avatar of Irminsul to destroy it, and told the other shades, yo, this is what I'm gonna do. It's a necessity. It must be done. That's why they didn't argue against her. The destruction of Irminsul, at least the tree, the physical form of Irminsul, it can be destroyed. It's tainted. It has to be gone. Like, huh?
Characters shrug it off and say everything is fine because it was forced onto them anyway. Nahida literally grew from that tree, but she wasn't a...
Yeah, but she doesn't have an emotional connection to Irminsul. Her emotional connection was never to Irminsul itself. It was to Ruka Devada, cornball. You expected her to cry over the loss of the tree? She had no emotional connection to the tree. Her emotional connection was to Ruka Devada, which we had a dedicated scene for her destroying the remaining corrupted data and information regarding, Ruka Devada's existence. And guess what? She forgot about her. And she cried over it. This happened 3 years ago. What made you think that Nahida has such a grand emotional connection to the tree when she never expressed an emotional connection to the tree outside of, oh, yo, we got to make sure it's safe because, if this tree gets destroyed, or like if the data in the tree gets destroyed or contaminated by forbidden knowledge / abyssal energy and whatnot, it will lead to the destruction of the entire world and not just the destruction of Sumeru as a nation. That's the only emotional connection she had to the tree, of ensuring that the data in it is preserved and is kept safe from being destroyed, which she succeeds in doing along with the rest of Sumeru's population in the 6.6 Archon quest.
Onto them anyway. Nahida literally grew from that tree, but she wasn't affected at all. All we got to show for the destruction of the world's database were 2 wilted...
And look how he's saying the destruction of the world's database, despite the fact the only thing that was destroyed was the tree and not the database as a whole. That's what's misleading about this. He's not mentioning the Aru system at all because the nigga probably forgot about it. Mr. Lore Skipper over here. You see how conveniently he's doing that? Because guess what? It's so easy to paint the picture of, oh, there was no consequence because they didn't the whole world, or it's rather Sumeru, then the rest of the world wasn't destroyed, and there was some grand effect because of it, right? Because he's particularly saying the data information completely not mentioning how the data was transferred to a different USB. This is like, bro, this is like, oh, all the pictures and photos I have on my gallery, right? On my computer, for the sake of this example, let's use that. All the pictures and videos I have on my laptop right here. Imagine being upset that, oh, well, my laptop was destroyed, despite the fact I transferred all the data on my laptop in relation to my photos and videos onto my, 1 terabyte storage device. What type of sense would it make to be upset about that? Or be upset about the loss of the laptop when all my data has been preserved? What sense does it make to be upset about that? It makes no sense because it doesn't have a grand effect outside the fact that my laptop has been destroyed and I gotta go buy a new one or I gotta use a different one.
at all we got to show for the destruction of the world's database were 2 wilted ley lines and 1 guy going crazy just from being close to the city. Like, what is even going on? At this point, any sense of immersion is just gone.
And it's such a blatant lie he's spewing, and anyone who paid attention to what the fuck happened knows this is a lie.
This complete lack of consequences started a broader realization among the player base that the overarching
This is, again, dishonest framing from niggas who are claiming there are no consequences, despite the fact we had gotten blatant consequences for actions that happened, cause and effect. The moon being brought back into orbit of Tevat's planet, knowing that the heavenly principles in the past threw that fucking frost moon away from the planet on purpose. And even putting the traveler's ship on the fucking moon on purpose. And us bringing those back is a consequence. The entire structure that the heavenly principles has made and maintained all this time up till 500 years ago has begun collapsing. To say that nothing happens is the biggest load of crap someone could say. This is like saying, oh, nothing happens in Withering Wave's story. Oh, the Sentinels, oh, nothing happens with them, despite the fact the Sentinel transferred their authority and power to Jinshi on Mount Firmament. Oh, nothing happened because Jinshi didn't die or that the Sentinel didn't die. Oh, nothing happened. That's exactly what this is. Despite the fact there was blatant consequence to action. Or rather, there was a blatant cause and effect to said action.
Plot has no real stakes. Take the Gnosis, for example, the chess piece looking items that hold divine power. For years, the main driving force of the game has been chasing these things down or watching the villains steal them.
No, what the that's a lie. That first half is a blatant lie. The main objective of the story was not to keep the Gnosis out the hands of the Fatui. That's never been the main objective of the game. To even paint it like that is a blatant lie. The main objective was following the Traveler so that he could reunite with his sibling. And guess what? That happened. And now the objective has shifted into learning about the truth of this world so we can understand Lumine's point in view and perspective of everything, so that when we meet her again with full understanding of the world, we could then make our decision moving forward of whether or not we'll side with her or we'll side with this world that we've fallen in love with, aka the Traveler has fallen in love with. That's the new direction of where the story went at the end of after version 1.4 of the We Will Be Reunited quest. That's what's happened in the story. But niggas can't see that because they're so caught up on the old objective, thinking that's the current objective of the story now, when it's no longer that objective. The Traveler hasn't even actually had a real reunion with his sibling, a real genuine reunion, because everything has been business related to Lumine. Every interaction or every quote-unquote reunion we've had with Lumine has been a business transaction. She doesn't tell us everything. She still hides secrets from the Traveler. She doesn't let him in on every nook and cranny detail of what she's doing. She pops in and out, leaves that nigga high and dry all the time.
But looking at the community discussions, people are pointing.
That's a disappointing end for the Pyronosis situation. Genshin Impact 6.6 story. Maruika tossed the like it's nothing and even saying catch. She does give a fuck about it all. Why are niggas surprised that the Archons don't hold the Gnosis in high regard? Why? Did niggas forget that Venti blatantly let Senora take his Gnosis? Did niggas forget that Zhongli literally gave up his Gnosis to Saritsa because of a past contract that they have with each other? Did niggas forget that literally the Electro Gnosis that the Raiden Shogun gave up, by the way? She didn't care for it anymore because she doesn't need it. She gave it to Yaimiko, and Yaimiko kept it in her possession until she traded it to save the traveler's life from being, killed or by being taken by Scaramouche when he was a once villain / antagonist of the story. What about when Nahida gave up the electrognosis that she got from defeating Scaramouche in his god form, and she gave it to the doctor because, he destroyed his segments as per the payment he needed in order to get the electrognosis. And the dendronosis, which she also gave to him after exchanging information related to the false sky and other information that was inside Irminsul that Nahida had no idea about. She willingly gave it up after getting the information because it was an exchange of information because she is the god of wisdom. What about in Fontaine? Nouvelette literally gave up the gnosis that he had after getting back his dragon authority that was inside the gnosis. After getting it back, guess what? Skirk told him that, this gnosis will bring misfortune to you, which is, again, the same line of logic we were told by Nahida back in the day as well when she had her confrontation with Dottore. Let's show that, actually. Let's show these two scenes to further illustrate my point. Dottore and Nahida. Let's see what can be popped up. 3.2 Archon Quest, 3 years ago. Did niggas forget?
We use the power of two
Let's
gnosis
skip this up a little bit.
successfully connect with the Irminsul con.
This is the only thing of interest I found among the sage's research. I thought I'd take it.
Negotiate with me? I heard you had already.
Eru, wisdom is restricted by the Yes, missions at preserving all the first step of energy. It lacks an I saved segments. Wisdom
Concept with its own significance.
It's different. Mention one
Why wait until now to
subject
and to create a god? If they expect your own same view of yourself.
results should be left to the judge to write.
Even fewer convictions.
Is over, and it's time to tidy
All right, here we
up
go.
the equipment and reclaim any useful materials. For example, the Gnosis. Lesser Lord Kusanali, you're an intelligent Archon. I'm sure you understand the disparity in our combat abilities at this time. Besides, you have no way to use that Electro-Gnosis in battle.
Didn't you say you were here to negotiate with me? Somehow, it's starting to seem like you intend to take it by force now.
I'm merely stating a fact. After all, I'm also a scholar. Naturally, I hope to show proper respect and dignity to the God of Wisdom.
Your hypocrisy is built on absolute confidence. I understand your scheme, but... what if I were to destroy the Gnosis now and awaken the heavenly principles?
Which was a fib, by the way. This was bullshit bluff. Which came back to be mentioned again in the 6.6 Archon Quest. He literally was like, yo, this is a bluff. But her destroying Irminsul herself was her being honest. Let's get up. I want to go to that point where she's mentioned the foreign gnosis thing. Around here.
Evidence or use rigorous thing I clever consciousness. As a scholar, I can't ignore.
Give me a second. May have to delete some tabs here. Let's delete this one.
If it stays in Sumeru. But this Electro-Gnosis is the prize I attained after...
Hold up, let's go back.
Conditions.
This foreign Gnosis will only lead to disaster if it stays in Sumeru.
AKA, that's a consequence if it remains in Sumeru. Which is why she gave it to him after he destroyed his segments. For the Dendrognosis, And it was like, it was him destroying his segments was the payment for the fucking Gnosis, the Electro one in particular. And it's like, it was the worthwhile payment.
It's only a matter of time until I find better perspectives. Perhaps it's best to say you're just temporarily ahead. But what I'd like to know is, how can you be sure that I've really erased them?
I can see your remaining honesty.
And what's so crazy is, he destroyed all these segments, and they came back to drag his ass into the fire at the end of the 6.6 story. Literally, at the end of the boss fight, he's getting dragged back down into the fire to be burned alongside his segments that he deleted. Because them niggas were like, what?
Ridiculous decision! You can't be serious! How could I have been so short-sighted? You think this is the end? Wait, I'll have revenge. You'll make this moment count. You will regret this.
Yep. And they dragged his ass into that fire to die alongside with them in the burning Irminsul tree.
The future of Sumeru City will be in my hands alone. I will shut down the Akasha and let curiosity and the thirst for knowledge drive the realm of academics once again. There won't be any further gaps for you to exploit.
It truly pains me that my academic achievements have never been appreciated in my homeland. Of course, I have no interest in being rejected by this city for a third time. Another chess piece. And where is your Dendronosis?
Don't be greedy, Harbinger of Snezhnaya.
No, this is a different transaction. If you intend to turn off the Akasha anyway, then there's no further use for the Gnosis of Sumeru, is there? Besides, isn't it the Archon's duty to deliver what's desired of the Seeker? Oh, judging from your expression, you don't seem to find the idea very agreeable. Then let's think of it this way. Since you're the god of wisdom, how about I exchange some knowledge with you?
People exchanging knowledge with the God of Wisdom is the stuff of legends. Yet here you wish to exchange knowledge for the God of Wisdom's property. Arrogant as that is, it has piqued my interest.
Let me ask you, have you in all your mighty knowledge ever heard the rumor that the skies of Tevat are fake?
And this is what she traded the Dendronosis for. Let's rewind. Let's also go to when the Nouvellette talked to Skirk. The nature of the Gnosis. 2 years ago. 45 views.
Hang on a sec. Paimon still got a question about the Gnosis. When we spoke to Lily...
The only character that actually has cared so heavily about the Gnosis has truly been Paimon. She's the only one that's had shown such deep care about ensuring that the Gnosis don't fall into the hands of the Fatui, really in comparison to the Traveler, which is very interesting, by the way. Maybe there may be some lore reasons to that. Who knows? Maybe Paimon was the third descender that was broken up, that had her corpse used to create the Gnosis. That's probably why she cares about it more than the Traveler do.
Lenny, earlier, he mentioned that your attitude towards giving away the Gnosis had clearly changed. We guessed that there might be some reason for it that only you were aware of.
No wonder the House of the Hearth is the Fatui's intelligence division. They are certainly sharp. So regarding this specific issue, I was just getting ready to share something with you.
What is it?
In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Well, we're as well, all right, Nervalet? Whoa!
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here, so I'm no longer getting any interference. I can finally catch the scent of your power, what it's made of. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons, but with something very similar to a god's curse mixed in. It's quite a novel blend. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before. What was it again?
I do not know what you speak of.
Ah, of course. How could I forget? You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of any such thing.
Huh. According to your parlance, I believe it may be called a gnosis.
Well, that much is true. After Focalor's divinity faded, she handed her gnosis to me. But I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Fowl, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to the surface since. So most of the information I possess, I got from him. It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess a different sort of common sense, which is why there are so many problems in our attempts to communicate with humans. Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects of misfortune to prevent any disasters from befalling you. To live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies, the bonds he once had with this world shall all turn to curses.
Which, doesn't that not sound like what happened with Nibelung, the Dragon King, the Dragon of Dragons, who brought Abyssal Power with him? When he came back to spin the block to try to get Teyvat back from the Usurper, aka the Heavenly Principles? After he died, what happened? His corpse, more than likely, was thrown into the fucking abyss and left there. And now his will is echoing across the abyss, trying to reclaim Teyvat in some way, shape, or form. Which is why things that shouldn't be in Teyvat were manifesting through the abyss. Right? It's like, holy fucking moly. This line she says is as true as possible. And more than likely, the corpse of the third descender actually probably is Nibelung, honestly. If we're being honest.
The bonds he once had with this world shall all turn to curses.
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my personal thoughts. And my reason for no longer wishing to return to the surface.
This third descender you refer to, who are they? And when did they die?
Master never mentioned them to me. Perhaps it just wasn't that important for me to know. If you're interested, though, I could ask him. I'll be sure to pass the answer on to you next time.
Next time? You believe we will meet again?
I do. Wait. I have a disciple of my own, don't I? He can be the messenger then?
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not, I wanted to pass that information on to you.
The remains of the third descender? So that's what the Gnosis actually are. Paimon just thought they looked like chess pieces. How could they be a person's remains?
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding or special metaphor at play, that is what she meant to say.
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it, which is why you gave it to the Fatui.
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk by keeping it here.
And we know that Homegirl Skirk doesn't do this wordplay bullshit. She is as straightforward and blunt as possible with everything she says. So her words are to be taken seriously. Let's go to another instance. Like, people being surprised that Mavwika gave up the Gnosis acting as if these archons actually care about the Gnosis when they have blatantly expressed that they wish to break all ties with Celestia time and time and time again throughout the years of this game's story. Is fucking crazy. This is by far the most retarded shit niggas can sit here and say and be surprised that, oh, she just chucked it to the Traveler. Because it doesn't have much significance to her. They dealt with the Abyss in Notland, so they don't have to worry about it anymore. They cleansed it, removed it entirely, and now the ley lines are stronger than ever, thanks to that. Like, it's so crazy. Let's continue.
Pointing out that the loss of a Gnosis means absolutely nothing to the gods who actually hold them. And
yeah, because they don't value the damn thing. They personally do not value it. We've seen it time and time and time again that them losing their Gnosis doesn't have a grand effect on them. The only effect it has on them is that they won't have this this ultra immense power or enhancement that the Gnosis provide. As was stated by Mavwika, that literally the Gnosis by itself is all the Gnosis is a elemental enhancer. That's all it is. That's all it ever was.
And no matter what arguments you use to defend this fact, all of it is really just theories.
A game theory.
There is no official confirmation about why these things happen. You can sort of guess it.
What you mean? They explained it! They explained it time and time and time again to sit here and claim that they didn't provide any explanation for why these gods feel this way towards Celestia, and even wanting to still be tied to Celestia is bullshit to the nth degree, my nigga. Oh my god, this is crazy. This is such blatant lies on lies on lies.
It back in Liye when the Geo Archon just handed his over, and it was pretty much confirmed by Inazuma when they didn't even show the Gnosis being handed over. Oh yeah, I just gave it away, said Yaemiko.
You see how dishonestly he's framing this? Not showing these scenes of what actually happened. Zhongli, like I said earlier, gave his up thanks to a contract that he and the Cryo Archon had, and the contract was fulfilled. Brother, do we need to pull it up? Just a little bit of fucking research goes a long way. Zhongli gives Gnosis. Him trading the Gnosis. I'll make sure I add all these people, obviously, in the description. But, brother, this needs to be called out for what it is. This is by far the biggest load of bullshit being said. And this video relies on people not remembering what the fuck happened in order for his narrative to make sense that he's saying out of his mouth. That's the only way this video succeeds in spreading misinformation.
You call this cooperation between Harbingers. Cooperation involves communication, you know.
Go about right here.
Morax. Now, if you would be so kind.
What in the world are you talking about?
The contract is fulfilled. That which thou seeketh is now bestowed unto thee. For my promise is solid as stone.
How sanctimonious.
What? So you're the Lord of Geo? No, wait. That's an exciting twist and all, but why give the Gnosis to the Fatui?
I do not give it for free. I give it as agreed upon in the contract.
Yeah, you don't...
I hate that this person is just skipping through the shit. Because that pisses me off, because it doesn't even let him say the whole line. I understand that homeboy here clearly wanted to try to get through it, but like if you're going to show the cutscene of him trading the Gnosis, play the whole fucking, let the whole dialogue play out. I fucking hate shit like this. Anyway, let's
I give it as agreed upon.
Okay, here we go. As it says, I give it as agreed upon in the contract, for it is a matter solely between the Tsaritsa and I. Meaning, he has his personal reasons for giving it up, and he cannot tell you because that is his personal contract. and it's not in his, in his nature, in his character, to give up, confidential details of contracts, which is why he has a contract with Celestia and why he can't open his mouth about certain information that he knows about, which is why he had to keep his mouth shut, which, mind you, he mentions in his second story quest at the end of it, if people forgot about that, which I guess I'll show now.
Characters in Genshin lore.
Oh, this is a theory video. Sorry. Let's do second quest. Let's do second quest. We're gonna move straight to the end, obviously, because this is where it happens.
And thunderous towards life above ground. He was willing to be sealed away. Thing I understand better. The millennia may come, personally sealing I have in death. Perhaps this is the erosion imposed on me by the natural order of this world. But I was a god of mankind, bear witness to the history of humanity.
You still can't.
Part of...
Nearly forgot!
Oh? About what?
Oh, yeah! Paimon nearly forgot! So, not long ago, we met a guy called Dane. He told us about Conria and the punishment of the gods. That's when we realized that those events were connected to the person we're searching for. Zhongli, you're a god. You've lived through thousands of years of history. Surely you experienced the incident?
I cannot say.
Why? You can't even give us a thread of information? This is so important to us.
I understand. But I must apologize. This is my contract.
You mean another past grievance? Like the incident with Ejda? Too painful to tell.
It was signed before it all began. I have always honored the contract. And kept my silence.
How can you be like that?
You two are friends to me. I can assure it brings me no pleasure to disappoint you. But as the god of contracts, I cannot go back on my word.
Would you be ready to find out?
It appears your understanding of this world continues to grow. There are many events of ages past, many secrets that lie hidden. They have been eroded by time, forgotten by the people, abandoned. But you are capable of finding them and bringing them into the light. Those who come to witness will witness. Those who are born to remember will remember. If you take the same road as that person, there may be more difficulties ahead. But as long as you firmly believe that you are on the right path, everything has meaning.
Boom. The Yai Miko thing, again, let's go ahead, pull up the Yai Miko thing. Let me go talk to the traveler. Let's see. Maybe I should find this. Let's do Traveler talks to Yamiko. Zuma Archon quest. Here it is. I think this is it right here.
Why, hello. If it isn't the triumphant traveler. And why might you be visiting the shrine? A sign of piety, perhaps?
You literally told us to come meet you here!
I was just joking. I've been waiting for you.
Seems like someone's in a pretty good mood.
Mm-hmm. Catching up with an old friend I hadn't seen in years was truly delightful. By the way, I heard that you had a duel before the throne, with a Fatui Harbinger no less. Courageous and astute. I must say, I am most impressed. Defeating Signora...
Let's go right here. See what?
I'm not the kind of person who risks life and limb for any old reason.
For once, Paimon just does not know what to say!
After A created...
Why was the Gnosis in your possession? The Traveler asks.
Her puppet vessel, she no longer had anywhere to put it. As her erstwhile closest friend, A handed it over to me, and I've kept it in the Grand Narukami Shrine ever since. She no longer needs the power of the Gnosis, and in any case, she tells me she has severed ties with Celestia. Thus the Gnosis became not only useless, but also a potential source of conflict.
Sounds like Skirk's words that she said back in version 4 holds true across the board. Bringing curses and calamity with it, right? Guess what? The Fatui would cause trouble to get their hands on it. The Raiden Shogun, aka the Electro Archon, has no need for the Electro Gnosis, and she's stronger without it. So, of course, she can simply chuck it. She has no need for it. And she does not wish to be tied to Celestia anymore. The fact that Homeboy is sitting here lying about what happened to push this narrative is outright malicious.
Absolutely nothing to the gods who actually hold them. And no matter what arguments you use to defend this fact, all of it is really just theories.
A game!
Theories, but yet the characters say it out of their mouth, right?
Theory.
There is no official confirmation about why these things happen. You can sort of guess it back in Liye, when the Geo Archon just handed his over, and it was pretty much confirmed by Inazuma, when they didn't even show the Gnosis being handed over. "Oh yeah, I just gave it away," said Yamiko.
Which, her reason for doing that was what?
Is that not a good bargain, exchanging it for the one at the core of the plan? Judging by the results, at least, I dare say I struck a good deal.
When you put it like that, Paimon has to agree. The Traveler is worth more than a Gnosis.
Literally explaining it right here. Why she was willing to exchange the Gnosis to ensure that the Traveler stays alive for the sake of the plan that they had set up to defeat and stop Raiden Shogun and get her back on the right track. Because the Traveler was a necessity for the plan. Because the Traveler was the only one who could defeat the Raiden Shogun blatantly. Niggas are shocked somehow about why the Gnosis are just being given up so willy-nilly when these gods have expressed that they have no true care, no true love for Celestia. Their care and love is for humanity, not the heavens. I say with air quotes because we know Celestia is a fraudulent place and it's not some real heaven with no real gods in it. It's a bunch of cornball frauds posing as gods. Anyway.
gave away the Gnosis, I guess. The Pyro-Gnosis has vanished, I guess. What happens? Nothing. It's not like they care anyway, apparently.
And what's crazy, a consequence of them using the Pyro-Gnosis, which he claims there was no consequence at all. The Pyro-Gnosis is destroyed now. There's no Pyro-Gnosis no more. It was used to destroy Irminsul, the tree of Irminsul. That's a consequence, blatantly, because guess what we were told about the Gnosis? It symbolizes... Actually, let's go back to it, actually. Let's go back to it. I should have let that scene play out more. Let me close this. Close.
That's something. What's wrong with her? So,
Wait
could
for
she
it.
have known something that we don't? About how much do you know about Irminsul? Yes, lore question. Oh my gosh.
Boom. I'm gonna save that for later because that's not time for this right now. Let me pull that back up. Let me pull up my YouTube again. Let me go back to that Nahida conversation with the Torre, where she literally explains what the Gnosis are and their importance. And we also get the gods' point of view of these Gnosis, of why they hate it, why they don't care for it. My guy, DeWitt, you don't see him, he's all on the right side of the screen, literally posted a video 15 hours ago explaining what happened in the Archon Quest verbatim for 20 minutes, or 28 minutes, almost 30 minutes worth of time. But we ain't concerned with that right now. What we are concerned with is what was said here. Let's get back to this point, shall we? Let's go backwards in time.
That's some knowledge with you.
People exchanging knowledge with the God of Wisdom is the stuff.
Let's go further back.
Hesitate much? Is the relationship between all the versions
Let's
of
go back a
you
little more.
really that bad?
They require extremely rare resources and enormous amounts of time and effort, requiring me to the God of Wisdom.
Your hypocrisy is...
The heavenly principles? Do you think that's really possible?
The heavenly principles have been silent for many years, but the Gnosis are symbols of their control over Teyvat and all the laws.
AKA, the entire Genshin story has been unraveling the laws and rules established by the heavenly principles. Not every last one of them, but one by one, we've been unraveling these things. The fact that the moon, that, you know, the heavenly principles tossed away from Teyvat, the planet, the fact that that bastard tossed it from the planet was on purpose. He did it on purpose so he can have a false sky with no real moon on it. And we brought the real moon back to Teyvat. To sit here and say that there is no cause and effect thanks to actions done in these quests is retarded. Anyway, right? We just explained what the importance of the Gnosis are to the heavenly principles. But guess what? The gods of this world, the Archons, do not care for the heavenly principles, rules, and laws. And they've blatantly expressed it time and time and time again throughout the entire story. The entire story's main theme is breaking free from the laws, or rather from heaven's rules, so that they can have their own lives to live without being governed by someone creating a pseudo fate for them, without them, you know, experiencing life themselves and having their own fate. Right? That's the whole base premise of Genshin's story. To not recognize this and be shocked that the gods, aka the Archons, are giving up the Gnosis so willy-nilly shows niggas' lack of reading comprehension and understanding. Let's continue.
Apparently. So what's the point? I don't know. But what really broke the community's immersion was the dialogues after the cinema moments. After watching the literal foundation of reality get wiped out, you would expect a heavy, at least meaningful debrief about the future of the world, right? Like...
And Nahida already said it in the scene.
Ooh, what is gonna happen next, you thought? Surely this thing happening has insane after effects, right? So why are we talking about food?
And here goes the dishonesty of this whole thing. Cause people in my chat was telling me about him, Glaive Keel, bitching about this. And when we got to this moment, it further proved to me that his bitching and other people's bitching about this proves that these niggas didn't pay attention at all. It proves that these niggas were expecting some, oh my god, there should be, the world is ending, despite the fact we were told what the consequence was now. The effect from the cause of removing Irminsul. Right? We were told this, literally. But is he gonna play the scene? Let's keep going.
Why is the god of Dendro spending more time talking about tomatoes than discussing the literal annihilation of Irminsul? They changed scenes. They went from cinema to a comedy show, the one that is not even funny.
And if you don't believe me, look at this dialogue bloat, by the way.
What a wonderful idea.
What a wonderful...
Oh, wow. You see how he's going to play the tomato scene to paint this picture as, oh, they just sat here and talked about tomatoes, right? Let me do the due diligence of someone with any lick of fucking common courtesy or any type of self-respecting person who dares to claim that they're a critic of something. Let me do the basic due diligence. Because this is the thing about content creators on YouTube that's always pissed me off about how dishonest they frame shit. This doesn't just go to Genshin Impact. This goes to every damn piece of media I consume and how dishonest niggas are with it. Let's show this. Let's show this shit right now.
Aru.
Okay, she's doing dandy. She's doing well.
They can. Such abilities are precisely what makes them so powerful. That she...
Dude, this have superior power sets above them. Base bullshit.
Such transcendent levels. Her and Nicole...
Does that mean your situation is stable now?
Correct. Just imagine that Aru has become the new Irminsul, and the essence of my existence has been bound to it. The wisdom of Sumeru has ultimately converged into a single, unified entity. Should we ascribe this all to fate, or is it merely fortune?
Whatever it is, the important thing is that you're okay, Nahida.
Dendro Archon.
Oh, actually, hold up. I missed it. Let me go back. It was around here. Let me do this right. Let me get y'all right. We ain't about to listen to nonsense and then him not show proof.
So he got 2 more things to check off his list.
Right? We not about to sit here and let blatant misinformation be spread here. No, hell no. Blatant lies and misinformation.
Did that data exchange the squad?
The flames blazed for 7 days and 7 nights before they finally subsided. All that was left were the parts underground. Now, Aru shoulders the responsibilities that once belonged to Irminsul. The situation was contained before it got out of hand, so Tevat's most vital information has largely been preserved.
Okay.
AKA, we solved the situation in the nick of time before shit got out of hand. Because the moment we got to Sumeru City, niggas were already on the ball. We didn't waste time for niggas to figure out what the fuck was going on with Irminsul. We were already on it. They were already on the deal. So we were moving at a decently good pace where we don't have to spend too much time wasting on fluff of like, man, do they know what's going on? What's going on with Irminsul? This, that, and the third. Nope, because we were already on the ball.
Okay then. Of the whole connecting back to the principles, only concept from the old world. That's the only
Strong influence over you, doesn't it? How will you cope now that it's gone?
There is no need to worry. Thanks to Nicole's extraordinary talents, my connection to Irminsul has been severed and transposed onto Aru.
Wait, hold up.
Powerful. The goddess
Oh, wait a
of
minute.
powers-
I think it was before this moment, actually, where she talked about Irminsul. Actually, let me go further back.
Chalking everything up to education and learning.
Everything Dotori said to you was a way. If it's the rephrasing, and it comes at such an age, it's bloom.
It's been sitting in this about like.
Hold up.
This fucking.
All right.
The travel looks so.
My current chit chat.
other interact with. Yeah, that's worth.
Better than we thought. Building up.
All right. Cut. Right, Ermin. That bullshit argument.
Found the corrupted Irminsul. The flames.
Okay, so clearly this happened even before this. And probably a little earlier, like around here.
Guys, you're...
Nahida was just
Or told Paimon all about that.
Then one right.
We can minimize
Just listen.
influence.
That was a true
Conversation.
way to manipulate. The rephrasing. You choose to call yourself a
Quick, cause I walked around this.
Oh, actually, I think it was around here.
severed and transposed onto Aru.
Okay, let's go for it.
Mere mortals.
Pure.
Transcended levels. Act. Just instance has
Oh, thank goodness.
Want to say something? Also being.
Sir Nevis, do you have something urgent to
A message from
Oh, this is a report from Snezhnaya.
About
the palace? Be bright. Snezhnaya still at the Tory in his
we would be like, they still national pleasant.
they are supposed to hope this
True.
It's highly effective.
disaster has had a profound impact on Sumeru. There is much that I will keep in my heart. The matter of the Tory can be seen as settled for now. We are sure to cross paths again in the future, and in that light, Snezhnaya would do well to uphold their responsibilities and keep a tight rein over their actions. Possibility. With Irminsul burned, the flow of fate now carries many more possibilities. I will be watching carefully.
Right? Yeah, she said one. She actually said multiple lines regarding Irminsul, right? But this line right here was all we needed to hear. We didn't need to learn more in-depth shit related to Irminsul when the core, aspect of Irminsul's information and shit was preserved. So there's not much damage to Irminsul or to the world thanks to the fact that they preserved it. Again, that was the whole setup from the rest of Act 9, or rather the entirety of Act 9. No, latter end of Act 9 and the beginning parts or segments of Act 10. It was dedicated to preserve it. And Irminsul has now become more freeform, thanks to it not being so tight, restricted, the way that it was originally designed to be, or rather programmed to be. Because, as we know, as we found out in this Act 9, the Usurper, aka the Heavenly Principles, reprogrammed Irminsul so that it could have a fate system. But now, thanks to what has happened, it has now become more loose and less strict. Now more possibilities can happen in regards to fate. Again, and being upset that Nahida said this specific line, that's more than enough to explain in relation to Irminsul, because there's no need to go more in depth than this. There is no need. Just know that this is now the situation.
Wonderful idea.
What we should eat.
What should we eat? Not more tomatoes.
Again, you see how dishonest this is? He doesn't actually show the entire thing of every line of dialogue that Nahida said in relation to Irminsul and her connection to it. He doesn't show any of that, but conveniently, he shows the conversation about the tomatoes. Do you not see how dishonest this is?
Long pause.
More?
Dendro Archon, what
do you mean more tomatoes? Come on,
Those
bruh.
good friends of yours are always talking about
Tomatoes,
Sometimes when we walk in through the city,
tomatoes.
So blatantly dishonest. And he wants niggas to take his shit seriously about what he says. Get the fuck out of here.
You can hear them arguing in the fields. Since you see them so
Oh
often, you
my
must hear that
dialogue
tomatoes even more
bloat.
than I do. Tomatoes.
Dialogue blow up, but yeah, this is talking about what they're gonna do for their get together when they bring a feast of food after everything that's going on at the end of everything that happened in Sumeru. Yes, sure, dialogue bloat. A funny gag is dialogue, but apparently.
Some apocalyptic scenario.
Hold up, let's go back.
Come on, oh, who cares? It builds up these massive apocalyptic scenarios only to immediately pivot back to childish, low-stakes, slice-of-life chatter.
Do you not see how dishonest he's framing this shit as well? High stakes. Bro, the conversation wasn't high stakes in the slightest. The high stakes has already happened. We are now in, how they solve it? Damn, I forgot what the chart is. Look, hold up. The rising action, the climax, and then what comes after the climax? I forgot. What's it called? Bro, this is a lengthy ass reaction. I'm already 2 hours deep. Let's search up story chart. We are in the falling action, heading towards the resolution. That's what we are in this moment in the story. The high stakes moment has already happened. To sit here and frame this moment as a high stakes moment is bullshit. To dishonestly frame it is malicious as well. This is not the climax. This is not the high stakes, when the high stakes literally just passed. This is telling us, again, the falling action. That's where we at. The falling action. What's the point of the falling action? Right? Let's search. Let me search up the definition of the falling action. Action definition. This is the definition right here. The falling actually, let me see if I can type that up. Falling action definition. Not interested. Falling action is the sequence of events that occurs immediately after the climax of a story. During this phase, the intense dramatic tension of the climax begins to ease. Loose ends are tied up, and the narrative de-escalates towards the final resolution, or whatever the fuck this is. Yeah. Bruh, that's the moment of the story right here that he's showing. To sit here and paint that as the climax or the high stakes, we're just like, oh, they immediately shifted from high stakes to goofy ass shit. It's so dishonest.
And can you tell me why? It feels like the writers just didn't care about the weight of their own story.
What you mean when they literally had Nahida speak on it multiple times, related to her as an individual and what this means moving forward for the future of this world by that one line of dialogue. Because they don't need to have her explain with a whole paragraph worth of dialogue to simply tell us, oh, now fate has become freeform. It has more new possibilities, more possibilities now. It's no longer restricted as it was once before. You don't need to repeat that one line multiple times, which y'all would complain about as always. Be like, oh, this one line was said multiple times, when in reality it never was like that. Or there would be some cases where that did happen. But this wasn't one of those cases. They literally trimmed down needing to explain ultra in depth about how this will affect the world moving forward by giving us one line that's more than enough for someone to understand what does this mean moving forward for fate in the world of Teyvat that has always had a predestined fate given to the world by the heavenly principles who programmed Irminsul to be that way. We don't need an in-depth explanation to that.
Which, to be honest, I'm not even surprised about at this point. And then you have the playable characters themselves, who seem wrapped in a permanent layer of safety. The script tries to tell you that the entire nation of Sumeru was on the verge of total destruction, but none of the cast actually conveys that. The writing kept reverting back to cheap, predictable character gimmicks. The community
such as... And again, even look at this. Look at this. They're literally taking these small moments that happened in the story where they were setting themselves, prepping shit, because that's what they're doing. In the midst of them having their bicker back and forths, they were setting up the Aru system and preparing it for when it was time for them to strike. They're bitching about what we were doing in the midst of the setup, which, by the way, their bickering back and forth didn't stop the plot. It didn't pause it. We kept moving. There were moments in the story where we could check on the playable characters and see how they're feeling and see how their thoughts and opinions are going on with the situation that they're in. Because guess what? Before you have such a crazy climax moment where shit pops the fuck off, you have the rising action where niggas are getting ready. They're gearing up. Holy guacamole. Niggas act like that's some crazy concept. Niggas act like it's a crazy concept to have characters who are literally just taking a moment's time to breathe. Because guess what? Even when this scene actually happened, actually I can show this. I can actually show this. Right? Earlier, before we went to the final confrontation, before all of it, we having sit down moments, talking with the characters, you know, they expressing how they feeling, they praying, making sure this, that, and the third. Look, even this line right here with Faruzan further proves this. This rising action before the battle is about to commence. Literally halfway through the playthrough, right here. Watch.
Yeah, Sumeru is my home, and it's so important to me. I have to protect it. No, I will protect it.
And once you're done, how about you come back and apply for Spantamod?
Stop it with the sales pitch, would you?
Hey, excuse me.
This is right before shit hits the fan. Characters are being a little goofy, but at the same time, they know what's about to come next, and they're literally mentally preparing themselves for it.
There are still 3 unclaimed cups of juice here. Why don't you take one each? Ugh, my arms are getting sore from carrying them around everywhere. Madame Farazan, why are you... Here, let me take them off your hands.
Thank you, Madame Farazan.
Drink up and enjoy my handiwork. I think I'm going to make something else now instead. Please, try to relax, Madame Farazan. Your nerves are starting to get the better of you. I know.
AKA, her nerves are at 100 right now because of the situation. And she's been making juice to try to alleviate or distract herself from this high nervousness she feels. That's what this whole scene was conveying to us. But yet niggas were just making jokes, right? That's all that these scenes were, right? Just them making jokes. Wow. Yet another lie told about what happened in this quest. Actually, where's the Al-Haytham moment? Let's go to right here. What did Nahida say?
Passes by the top floor.
Says who? You can fly just like I can. I would have thought it makes sense to you of all people.
I don't know why, but I feel a little more relaxed now.
It shows that you feel comfortable laying down your burdens in our presence. It means that Sumeru is a place you can trust, where you know we have your back.
Man, I would really love to see Raiden. I need to see.
That's what it means to be friends.
I need. The seamless transitions has been great throughout this playthrough. I swear, I love it. Hopefully, they let the travelers speak indefinitely instead of doing this piece by piece talking shit they've been doing.
Feel free to mingle if you'd like some time to catch up with people. Just remember to get a good night's sleep when you're done. Tomorrow is a very important day.
AKA when shit was gonna go down. AKA the story is giving us a moment of respite before we get into the climax. How can niggas not fathom this? Please explain that to me. Anyway, let's continue.
He pointed out how absurd it felt to have Sino cracking jokes while they were actively discussing the fact that their god was in a coma.
Because Sino has always cracked jokes. He's always cracked jokes. But even in those moments of his jokes, he was being serious as well.
Spent the majority of his screen time stealing the focus by screaming and bickering over his usual housemate drama. These characters...
No. They were having bickers back and forth, which, by the way, didn't last long at all. It was minor bicker back and forth. Talking about... Actually, you know what? Why am I even talking about it? Can literally show it on screen. This is when they come in to help with the project. These niggas get to work immediately. Their bicker back and forth didn't even last long. And plus, these characters were a direct parallel to the other gods in the room who also was doing bickering back and forth with each other in the midst of us setting up the Aru system. We're gonna bitch about Kaveh and Al-Haytham doing that, while simultaneously there was 3 other characters doing the same thing. Like, what are we talking about?
Yes, well, you strike us more as having come to give a popular science lecture. Or, wait, does this count as more of a first-hand witness statement?
Neither. Anyway, this sounds like far too much work for me.
Still, if Aru is so powerful, why didn't King Deshret use it for more ambitious ends?
Because it was never fully completed. King Deshret had grand plans, but he perished before.
Let's go around here, because this one
there was literally no other way besides that.
Deshret was both powerful and ambitious, and he only ceased his imperious ways out of affection for the goddess of flowers and the Danger Archon. You could see this as an act of mercy, but you could also see it as the sentiments that lay between these 3 gods placing constraints on him. This was, after all, the foundation of the alliance between them.
This explains why Aru was both a prison and a monument, and why the answer to the 3 questions was time.
You have to be careful who you get involved with, or you invite all manner of misfortune. This is as true for gods as it is for humans. Love is the same. It is both a prison and a monument. All right, let us pause the story here for now. Seeing as you've been so diligent, I'll offer a little help. Who's in charge again? Is it you 2?
Ah, yes, me and him.
Now then, close your eyes. Wisdom hides in the space.
It's so crazy how niggas are talking as if Al-Haytham and this nigga Kaveh had lengthy bicker back and forths that that lasted for 10 or 30 minutes, that deterred away from what we were doing in the main Archon quest, when that shit lasted less than 2 minutes, by the way. Y'all gonna see what I'm talking about.
Space between the tangible and the intangible. It is to convey the incommunicable through the simplest of mediums. By the power of King Deshret, I shall grant you a glimpse into the unseen secrets that lie at the threshold of existence.
Where did this come from? Is it a new mechanism?
It looks more like some form of externalized information. You've rendered it visible?
Just as the Akasha allows you to access a greater range of knowledge, the power of our king permits one to perceive ingenuities that do not belong to this world. This is no ordinary mechanism. It reflects the internal structure of Aru. Whether you choose to increase or decrease, keep or discard. Come, use these to achieve the outcome you desire.
Man, I can't wait to see
Looks
Celestial
mechanical
technology.
to me. Better let me handle it, just in case. But wait, how do I get up there?
Turn around.
So that's where the elevator is.
Well, it's Celestial. We come up of it. You can't pass. Wait, why you do that? Okay, I see.
And again, before we even continue this, right? People are acting like characters cracking jokes or like being a little funnier and goofy before like a big battle happens is somehow unrealistic or deters away from the rising action of what they're about to face. When it never does, it doesn't do that. The purpose of it is to give them a moment of calm before the storm. But niggas apparently have forgotten that shit when it comes down to writing stories.
Was used to record important writing here. I'll need you to decipher. I've sent it to your screen. Do you see it?
Got it. It's a little blurry, but I should manage.
Take a look and tell me what it says. Oh, and I'll send any other similar text directly to you from now on.
I like the game. Sumeru
It's a
Fontaine.
variant of an older script. Here in live verses written for the Yellow Sands. Looks like cultural information from the age of King Deshret.
If so, I suggest you delete it.
Words thrown together merely for fun. I had no idea Aru kept a record of this.
And this was also showing us that Aru recorded everything. It was not solely important information. Sometimes it was information that was just like pretty useless information, such as, oh, someone making up a funny, thrown together wordplay, right?
Well, as long
it was
as
showing us that Aru was damn near similar to the Akasha system and damn near similar to, guess what, Irminsul, which is why it became the new pseudo Irminsul.
You're certain that this is strictly private information. That's fine.
It is unimportant. All right, well, I guess I'll start now.
No.
Found some more. Sending them over to you.
Didn't we have guns?
They're all reports.
Wait, matter of fact, at all. That in depth.
Supposed to do.
So, most of this information has already been archived anyway.
What if there are details in there that Vahumana missed? What are we supposed to do if they come after us in the future?
They'll just have to live with it. If we don't resolve these issues now, there won't even be an academia in the future, let alone a Vahumana Darshan.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, done. There's some other similar monuments nearby. I'll check them out.
Yeah. Let's keep going, shall we?
Earlier with all them trying to.
It records the development and governance of the Oasis civilization. Most of it concerns the Jinn, but it also contains records left by the artisans who built Aru.
Is it important?
Some of it. There was no way for me to read the whole thing in its entirety, so I had to rely on my intuition to pick the parts worth keeping.
What about the artisans' records? What do they mention?
They're speculations, mostly. For instance, they were wondering how to protect themselves if King Deshret decided to silence...
I'm wondering where this lengthy back and forth bicker batter shit was happening in the midst of them doing their job, despite the fact they were doing their job of, setting this shit up and getting it done. Where's the bicker back and forth that paused all that lasted for such a lengthy period of time, despite the fact they were on a time crunch? I would love to know. When the fuck did that happen? Because I'm not seeing it with my own playthrough.
Silence them after the construction of Aru was complete.
Sounds like pure mythology to me. Surely that kind of thing didn't really happen.
The records do emphasize that this was merely their conjecture based on various myths. Still, the artisans did leave details of their plans to survive, including blueprints for their escape route.
Even that got recorded? Okay, well, I'll make a copy of this first before I delete it.
Is that truly necessary? You won't be needing those.
No, the blueprints are important. I want to keep them as a memento. I think that should just about do it.
It meets the requirements of the contingency plans, so we should be good.
I gotta say, it's the strangest feeling. This cross between reality and the intangible. It's like drifting between life and death. Or in and out of a dream. Using my own hands to manipulate illusions that are forever out of reach.
Chasing dreams in the most literal sense. Definitely a novel experience.
They're talking about the very situation that they are in, talking to these ancient gods and interacting with this ancient technology. How does this deter away so greatly from the objective of the Archon quest? Please explain.
What happens if my spirit just floats away?
At the moment on the ball, bro. Is now moment.
Just yet, if I won't happen. Anyway, I wouldn't celebrate just yet if I were you. There's likely to be a phase 2 of this project.
All right. I'd better keep my wits about me then.
Okay, so what's phase 2? No, I'm reminded of that Saint. What the fuck? Or you know, he complain about shit like that.
Ancient gods, but even so,
bro, this whole interaction between these three plus another member of the 7 Pillars of King Deshret had a more lengthy back and forth spat with each other. That, mind you, is optional to interact with. It is not forced upon you. Let's move on to the next set of interaction between Kaveh and, you know, Ahitham. Let's move on to the next one.
How's it going? Are things progressing smoothly?
Well enough, I suppose. You know how it is. The work itself is only half the problem. The other half is having to work with Alhaitham.
I'm sure the feeling is mutual. Honestly, though, I thought you two had already worked things out.
As if. Turns out working closely together is the best way to expose any tensions lurking beneath the surface. Besides, I just think that some people never change.
Agreed. Case in point, you didn't make sure I was out of earshot before you started complaining about me.
Old habits die hard.
Actually, this is for your own good. Maybe if you spend a little more time listening to what other people have to say, you might actually realize that you're the problem.
Or, you know, maybe that Kaveh, you're just a Karen who loves the bitch a lot. You know, two things can be true at the same time.
Naivete is another old habit of yours.
I had assumed that you both volunteered for this project, like us forest rangers. But now I'm getting the sense that wasn't the case.
Definitely not. We were assigned to it by Lesser Lord Kusanali and Nephis.
As much as I'd love to be doing normal work for normal clients, these Titan projects are all that's on offer right now. Though I'm sure they wouldn't be roping us in if they had any better options. Just goes to show how short-staffed the academia really is.
Let me read. I'm surprised you're still keeping up with this game. It shouldn't be a surprise, honestly, because Genshin Impact was the first... technically, it wasn't my first gacha game I've ever played. Technically, the first one was FGO, but I only played the prologue, and that was it.
Hopefully that my mic is back on, because I can open and close my mic piece, because it turns on and off my mic. So, this character interaction isn't some throwaway character interaction that has no connection to what's going on. They are literally talking about what the fuck they are doing, if the process is going smoothly with the operation that's at hand. Kaveh is talking about his partner that he works with, and they're having their little spat. But they're also talking about, man, the academia is really short-handed. That's why they got us working here. Because honestly, we're not clearly the only picks that they could have even gone to for this. Because there's probably other more ingenious individuals that they could have picked, but they chose us for this operation. It's directly connected to the plot. And this is right before they move on to phase 2 of repurposing the Aru system.
My phone just could not handle the story. Genshin...
yourself mentally, but I still feel the need to advise you to lower your expectations. It might make the process of working together a little less intolerable.
I know! Same to you! But if you already understood that, you should also know not to say the quiet part out loud.
Why don't you come help me with my forest patrols? Might help you avoid any further disagreements.
Good suggestion, but unfortunately, differences of opinion will always exist. Changing the nature of the work won't get rid of them.
For once, I actually agree. There is zero chance of us ever resolving our differences. Zero! But even so, the work must be done. Care for some coffee?
Oh, nice. You should just. Suggesting some coffee. Appreciate it, twin. Also, let me read it. Oh no, so I can hop back in. Add this guiding note feature. So if there is any like lore thing that pops up that you may have forgotten this, that, and the third, this will be very useful to you. Extremely useful.
I'm glad to see you making progress.
Don't act so smug. It'd be nice if you made some too.
Oh yeah, I did hear about it because DJ King's video popped up on my timeline before I started the stream, and I left the thing. And also, before I do a reaction, start doing that reaction.
I never would have dared to try and mediate a conflict between you two while you're both right there in front of me.
Apologizing probably makes it sound like I'm in the wrong, but I'm sorry.
I was just kidding. Truth be told, I don't have any work to do at the moment, so I'm just here to kill some time.
How's Kale?
She's studying with Nicole. I'm not sure how she's getting along, but she seems to be in good spirits at least.
I wouldn't worry. Angelic affairs are probably above your pay grade anyway.
I know what you mean, but Sino and I are still a little concerned for her. He said he'd go keep Kale company after he's finished training the mercenaries. I'm planning to join them myself shortly.
Kale will be okay. Have faith in her. Even we can see how much more confident and outgoing she's become in these past few years. Thanks to you and Sino being there for her and providing guidance every step of the way, she can finally stand on her own 2 feet.
On her own 2 feet.
Does it feel bittersweet? Watching the younger generation grow up and move on?
No, not yet, at least. I was just thinking, I wish there was more I could do for everyone.
She'll be fine.
Yeah, she will. Just try to relax.
What happened to the OG group? Here, hopefully they're still around. Yeah, they're still around. More doesn't seem that corn obviously.
Hopefully my mic is back on. So, as you can see, blatantly, they are taking rests in between working on the Aru system to make sure it's prepped and ready to go for when the time comes. Do you see the dialogue? It says, rest for a while. Because they cannot, they are literally the only people working on this thing right now. This group that's here working on this system, they're the only ones available to work on it. If they keep working on it with no type of rest in between, they will burn themselves out and shit would not be ready on time. It is a necessity that they take a break in between working on this machine. So that's why you have conversations like we just saw happen in the midst of this urgent, situation, which is the Irminsul situation and what the Tory is doing to it. That's why. Let's play a little more. What more was said?
Was used.
Let's see what else was said. Oh, and this is when Nikita came back, I believe. Anyway, back to the video.
Characters are written so one-dimensional here that it completely derailed the tension. The only character who...
And he doesn't bother showing the proof.
...escaped this criticism was Tainari. The player base widely highlighted him as the sole voice of reason throughout the entire questline.
The player base? You mean the few people you came across on Twitter? Yeah, bro, whatever.
Mostly because his dialogue actually matched the gravity of the situation. While everyone else was acting like they were on a school field trip, Tainari was the only one treating the emergency like an actual emergency, which ironic.
How about you show proof of that? Please show the proof. because I just showed the proof. Kaveh and Al-Haytham was taking the situation seriously and pressing forward with it. So it's everyone else in this quest. To not show proof that everyone else was just not taking this seriously is a disservice on your part, especially for your argument that you want people to believe.
Ironically, made everyone else look even more detached from reality. Nobody in the group acts stressed. Nobody conveys a sense of urgency. And the tension only exists when a character...
And look how he's using these same people for his example to prove what he's talking about. As if we do not have recordings of the playthrough literally right here. Let's read this. I would have loved to see more of the weight of this responsibility resting on Kaveh's shoulders. But the thing was, this responsibility of recalibrating the Aru system was not solely on Kaveh's shoulders. It was Kaveh, Al-Haytham, and the rest of their little team that they brought. I would love to see how some of them were affected by the sheer force of this threat. But we got this. Oh, we got to fight tomorrow. Literally, I just showed the scene of them feeling some type of way about what's coming next. And I'll show more of that. Let's continue. The stakes of his AQ were astronomical. They were about to say this. An unknown threat that could destroy the world as we know it, but everyone remained the exact same. No one conveyed that feeling. Nothing felt pressured unless the danger was outright stated in the conversation. That's not true, as I showed with the fucking Farazan scene. Farazan felt the weight of the situation, and she was nervous. What are we talking about? The same with Kaveh. What's his name? Sino, Haytham, did I say Sino already? Tainari. Who else played a role? Kale, she felt the weight of this as well. Like, what are we talking about? Because we had a good handful of characters who be calm, cool, and collected in the city of scholars who run on logic and not emotion, kept themselves composed through this. Therefore, it doesn't feel like there's no way, no one's freaking the fuck out about what's happening when they already were on the ball the moment we entered Sumeru. Sumeru was already being evacuated. The sages, along with the General Mahamatra, was already thinking about the Irminsul problem, already were on top of it before we even got there. Thanks to Kale's dream. That Kale went and reported to the Dendro Archon, which she was instructed to do by Nicole the Angel. Maybe in the beginning when they were told the news, they were freaking out, but these niggas were already on the ball thinking of contingency plans left, right, and center. So there was no real need, honestly, for any of these scholars, any of these fighters, any of these useful individuals for this, pushback against this threat to be freaking out to the nth degree. There's no need for that because they know what the situation they're getting into. They're locked in. They're preparing themselves mentally for what they're about to get into.
There explicitly reminds you of it in the dialogue. A world-altering catastrophe gets completely trivialized, leaving the characters to casually shrug it off with lines about how they just have a fight tomorrow.
And what's dishonest about this, why are you acting like this is their first time dealing with such a catastrophe? The first catastrophe that Sumeru had to deal with literally 3 years ago was the fact that one, the arcane god of wisdom was being created and the academia sages were colluding with the Fatui. They dealt with that threat. They dealt with the threat of the Fatui before, so that's nothing new to them. What about the world being under threat thanks to Irminsul being contaminated? Well, that's nothing new to them either because they dealt with that again 3 years ago with forbidden knowledge tainting Irminsul. And guess what? They handled it. They dealt with it. They got through that whole ordeal. What about when Apep, the Dendro dragon, was contaminated with abyssal corruption and was saved and cleansed thanks to Nahida and the little fungi that was absorbing elemental energy / memories that helped cleanse the Dendro dragon? Because again, the Dendro dragon, if the Dendro dragon were to have died, her corpse would have released so much dendro energy that it would have caused the rainforest to expand and grow and essentially block out sunlight and essentially suffocate anyone living on the ground underneath these massive trees. AKA a world-ending event for the entire, well, not for the entire world, but in particular for the nation of Sumeru. They've dealt with these catastrophes 2 times already. Why would they be freaking out in a third instance of this when they've already dealt with 2 instances similar to world-ending catastrophes before? You don't think people like this would have already steeled themselves ready to go? This is like saying why the Avengers aren't freaking out in mass when they find out that Thanos is coming around collecting them stones. That's essentially what this is. And it's like, they've already dealt with world-ending threats. They've dealt with niggas similar to Thanos. Not in the same vein, not to one, but they dealt with tough niggas before. They dealt with impossible odds. That's why they're not freaking out. They're, excuse me, of course explaining, the seriousness of the situation. But they still getting down 10 toes in it. Like, what? Huh?
Isn't that insane? No wonder the players are angry. The worst discourse...
The players, you mean the few people you found on Twitter.
Among every other topic in this video, though, is how the game completely fumbled the final showdown with the Torii. And to be...
How did it fumble it? I would love to know. Please explain.
To be honest, it is impressive how this multi-billion-dollar nuclear reactor-owning company managed to frustrate both the players who love him and the people who absolutely hate him.
Let's see. You built this character before your game even launches and bid him farewell after nearly a decade within a 10-minute showdown with 0 stakes. 0 stakes? The fuck? The stakes was he was corrupting Irminsul and he polluted it. That was the stakes. And not only that, Sumeru, the nation, was at stake. The fuck are you talking about, Mr. IV? Let's continue. And being shocked that the showdown happened within 10 minutes is crazy. Again, back to Withering Waves 3.3 story. Right? I'm using it as a comparison. Literal fuckingly. The stakes of that situation was Aleph 1, this world-devouring entity, was defeated. That they kept gassing up Aleph 1 as this world-devouring entity, but yet somehow got slapped across the cosmos, despite the fact it could easily just devour us, but it was slapped away after we defeated its little avatar, despite the fact it could have just ate us. Huh? Being shocked that a boss fight lasts 10 minutes is crazy. Again, I even mentioned the Arknights example earlier. The boss fight with Neferith. You think that boss fight lasted 30 minutes? No, it lasts less than 10. If not 10 minutes. Because there's a phase 1 and a phase 2. And if you built your characters, guess what? The boss battle not gonna take long. Oh my god. Anyway. I don't even mind that they made get the bucket, but that is the how. The how. What was the problem with how we defeated him? Did you want the battle to drag on longer? They even gave a special team burst animation for doing more damage on his health bar. You had to bob and weave his attacks. He would put up shields to push us away from him, and so on and so forth. Like, huh?
This is a villain the developers have been hyping up since before the actual...
It's so crazy how we're taking this one person's quote-unquote criticism as the end-all be-all absolute proof of how they did this quest bad, despite the fact we have other people who could say otherwise and disprove all these claims, like me, for example.
Actual game even launched, dating all the way back to the official webtoon nearly a decade ago. With all that build-up, obviously the players would feel completely...
These are the same examples he's been using this entire time. Again, using these few people to act as if what they say is absolute proof that this was bad is by far the biggest load of bullshit type criticism you can give. or proof that people had such a grand issue with this.
Unsatisfied, with the final confrontation only lasting about 10 minutes. Betrayed by how fast he kicked the buckets, they argue that a villain with that much buildup deserved way more than a sudden exit. Lauren—
Sudden exit? His exit wasn't sudden. What are we talking about? Niggas acting like the moment we showed up, he died. No. It was a lengthy 2-phase boss fight.
Enthusiasts are equally furious.
Let's read about these quote-unquote lore enthusiasts, shall we? These don't seem like lore enthusiasts. These seem like the Torre fans. Let's read this. Okay, well, just never learn why Zeke was chased out of his homeland, or rather, commentary about his expulsion from the academia. Bro, it was so obvious why he was expelled, because of his quote-unquote knowledge he had. He was radical in his pursuit of knowledge. That's why he was kicked out. Let's continue. That how Zandy could have possibly ended up as a malicious as the Tory became. He was just born evil. He was just evil born. Guess aha. Like, and now it is so crazy how niggas are upset that a villain is a villain. These are the same niggas who bitch about the fact that, oh, the Harbingers, quote unquote, don't stay villainous. They don't stay villainous when they become playable. Right? Despite the fact we have blatant examples of these Harbingers, quote unquote, quote, staying as antagonists to the Traveler, even if we join up and they help with us on certain issues like fighting the Torre. Like, we even get a whole animation dedicated to learning about this nigga fucking Zandique / the Torre, about his motivations for why he was after everything. He wanted more time, and he did anything he could to get that more time. What are these niggas talking about? I don't believe that this is the final end of everything the Torre related. So her getting chased out of his hometown, expulsion from academia, all these matters unanswered, unexplored. At the very least, they will show us some more lore. Honestly, I don't think they need to show us in depth why he was kicked out of the academia, because it's so easy to tell why. It was so easy to tell why. He went so far with his experiments. It's not a surprise that he went so far off the path of morality with his experiments. It's not a surprise to know why exactly he was kicked out of the academia. It's not a surprise. It's easy and simple to piece together. Let's go back to the scene that we had dedicated for this nigga, the Torre. Let's go back. Let's go all the way back, because it's about right here when this shit happened.
The part where you die.
Ah, yes. My favorite part. The 35-year-old Segment thought of himself as de Torre, reserving the name Zandique for the original specimen. Of all the Segments, he was the most selfish. After his expulsion, de Torre searched for a new direction. He joined the Fatui, studied Elazar in great depth, secured resources. He was rather fortunate in his career. Zandique turned to Conrian technology and successfully created his segments. But this was not immortality. Even with backup segments, his body would still age. Still, thanks to Snezhnaya, Zandique found the ideal base for his experiments. Then a perfect partnership materialized at a crucial moment. The year that both parties realized they needed more time. Fortunately, Zandique succeeded. In a miraculous turn of events, he gained the extra time he needed.
I seem to recall it differently.
All right, it's true. No matter how much elixir he took, Zandique remained human and continued to age. Then, on the morning he turned 85...
And even before this moment, we were given so many pieces of information related to Dottore as a character to put together why exactly he was kicked out of the academia. If I remember correctly, wasn't there a moment in Nefer's section of the Narcry story where there was a letter related to Zandik? Now I'm interested to even pull that up. No, I may leave it in the comment section. Let's continue.
About how much of his history was left completely untouched.
And it's crazy how people claim that his history was untouched when the game blatantly touched on his history. There's so many pieces of information related to Dottore as a character, both in the game and out the game, to understand his mindset of how he treats people and his mindset where it comes down to his experiments and whatnot. And how he does not care about morality, he only cares about rationality and intelligence. So much. We even had that moment in Nodcry where he's sitting here having that whole conversation with the Traveler. That helps you get a further look and glimpse into him as a person and his mindset.
We didn't get any real answers about why he was chased out of his hometown, his past relationship with Sore, or the specific details.
Past relationship with Sore, we did understand the relationship between them. He didn't care for that man. Again, this is more so Genshin Impact's, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Limit time event stuff not being made into permanent stories that then are connected to the game. Because we know that the quote-unquote friend of Dottore, or the person that was with him when he was exploring those ruins, we know that he was gravely injured. But that man didn't care about him. Those notes revealed to us that he didn't care about that nigga's life. He only cared about his, because he only cared about himself. And that person was the ancestor to Layla's grandfather. That person was the ancestor to Layla. That was like her great-great-grandfather, something like that.
Details behind his expulsion from the academia. The story basically just reduces him to being born evil, completely skipping any deep exploration of how he actually became so malicious. And
what are you talking about? They explained it's via his intelligence. They literally go out of their way to paint this picture for us about why he's obsessed and how he became this way. They literally show us this. It's because he dives to what he deems as wisdom, which is not real wisdom. His whole thing is related to intelligence, not wisdom. But he confuses wisdom with intelligence. Nahida comments on it multiple times every single time we've interacted with him. So it's easy to tell what exactly he is, or how he is as a person. I'd argue this is one of those moments where we do not need to see the in-depth life of Dottore in his childhood for why he got expelled from the academia. Because it's so easy to put together why that is. He is a radical, intelligent person who does not care about morality in the slightest. And if y'all remember correctly, there's rules in the academia blatantly. Let's actually search this up, because there were rules that we were told about. What are the rules in the academia? Search. Let's read these. The cardinal sins: interfering with human evolution. Do not alter the natural biological development of humanity. He violated that. Tampering with life and death. Do not conduct unauthorized experiments on the life cycle. He tampered with that. Delving beyond the universe. Do not research forbidden cosmic truths or attempts to contact Celestia and the void. Again, he did that. Investigating the origin of words. Do not study the ancient or true names of languages and texts. More than likely, he violated that too. Revering gods without acts of devotion. Do not superficially worship or obsess over deities while ignoring the proper tenets of devotion. I think he violated, I guess, half of that. 6. Attempting the forbidden and fearing none. Do not engage in reckless or dangerous research with an arrogant disregard for the consequences. We learned about these rules back 3 years ago. In particular, we learned it from Al-Haytham's story quest, if I am to remember correctly. Let me search this up. Al-Haytham's story quest. Let's go near the end of it, because he had a whole dialogue segment with that dude he stopped.
How's everything going with your thesis?
I should be able to publish it next month. A few days ago, I was worried that I'd have to stop my work on it. Thankfully, that didn't come to pass.
Let's go about right here.
Be helped. If you were clever enough to realize those problems, then you would have... Chaos returned to this collective consciousness of yours. Those words quite...
Eric, I do that.
Let me rewind this. I want to play the whole thing so I don't miss
That's
anything.
easy for you to say, given that you're travelers. Will you two continue to stay at the academia? When you leave, tragedy will repeat itself. Return.
Finally slowed my integration into the collective consciousness because I wanted to see to a thing I must. Hive.
You passed.
Many things during how it was to delete those memories. Perfect guide.
Correct.
Of before I choose for after I vision.
Domino is painful.
You need
Giga jerk.
Giga jerk? Emotions. Here, people can live easily. You are researchers while others become will. Fact.
I want to wait
through
and get to what Al-Haytham
it leads in
responds with.
simple of others. Reality. Oh, you noticed that? Then can you guess where their inhabitants are? The answer is the academia. They're executing another phase of the plan. Links all as we work together. We are able to execute in response to unexpected stuff. And it.
We won't like.
6.
We're worried about you. We your friend.
Even that you're traveler. Two are just as arrogant as Al-Haytham. You think that everyone should be like you and live most P36 to leave. I will consider them as.
What you presented was extremely unstable. No amount of garish packaging will change its fragile nature. It can't be helped. If you were clever enough to realize those problems, then you would have been aware that the Hive changed when Ilias returned to this collective consciousness of yours.
What?
What's happening?
The collective needs motivation to execute its plans, just as machinery requires energy to operate. That's why you, as the Overmind, synchronized your hatred of me into the collective, prompting them to create and execute a plan to eliminate me. However, when Ilias returned to the collective, his memories and emotions were shared with the rest of its members. This includes his perception of me.
Thanks for that. You know, you don't seem like such a bad person. Strange, isn't it? Why did I have those thoughts at that time?
This contradicts the hatred you had provided.
Oh, okay, hold up. I think I may have chosen the wrong wrong quest when this was said. My bad. Let me see. Apparently, it was said in Sino's story quest. Sino's character story 5. No, this is when Sino character story states it. But it's telling me that Al-Haytham never said this line, but I'm pretty sure he did. Hold up.
And these two differing emotions will give rise to new conflict.
So that's it! Wait, so you knew that Ilias would return to the hive? And then you pretended to keep him around just to fool Siraj! Wouldn't expect any less from you, Al-Haytham. Once the collective consciousness bugs out, we'll take that opportunity to... wait.
Told you. Scheme would introduce abnormal eyes to end it.
I'm from...
Even so, they are part of it. And be a all.
I've already sent my gift to the collective. It'll take cells for the nuisance and
It's so
evolve.
And with the hate, shake the collective.
Tougher than we.
What's with this sudden?
How is that possible?
Judgment?
What have you done? Calm down. Don't you have an easy way to figure this out?
You were only designated as number 36? What a shame. From what I can see, your talents merit a smaller number. Putting aside the validity of the data, it is meaningless to judge individuals based solely on their jnana energy.
What you said to Ilias has now become a memory shared by all members of the Hive. I see it now! You've channeled and amplified their selfish desires! You're trying to destroy my Hive from the inside out!
Human minds are not infinitely pliable, and your hive has stretched many of them to their limit. Once your authority as Overmind starts to wane, it won't be long before your subjects snap back. Is it worth living here like a machine? Being a tool for the rest of my life? As soon as one person begins to have these thoughts, selfishness, doubt, and fear will propagate, thanks to the web of consciousness that you built. At this stage, your so-called hive has already fallen.
It's not over yet. I am the Overmind! There has to be a way!
It's too late. Once the desires of the hive accumulate, beyond a certain threshold, they will kill their king.
I wouldn't have suffered such a disgraceful defeat if I was the Overmind.
My number shouldn't be so far down the list! Siraj is a liar!
This isn't what we agreed to!
I should be the one in your position!
The hive... shut down? What happened just now?
Members of a collective consciousness are more likely to reach a consensus because of their shared memories and emotions. For example, Ilias did have differing perceptions, but he ultimately followed the collective consciousness's judgment. However, this system is far from perfect. Based on this logic, the collective consciousness will generate an intractable diffusion effect upon encountering negative emotions. The disturbance that Ilias caused wasn't for naught. It made the collective question the Overmind.
Setbacks in the plan further amplify doubt, which diminishes the Overmind's influence. This inevitably causes the collective to generate negative emotions.
Apprehension, disappointment, panic, avarice. These negative emotions can be very well hidden, as humans generally do not share completely transparent channels of communication. But in the hive, where there are no secrets, negativity can spread like a tidal wave. Of course, what I said to Ilias was the trigger for all of this. A few words were enough. Believe in the power of words, Siraj.
You were already thinking of a way to destroy the collective consciousness, even back then. You knew that Ilias was the bait all along? But how did you know? Since when?
I knew it from the moment I saw him. Moreover, I never looked down on you. My opinion of you has always been objective. You have a naive view towards the concepts of collective consciousness and human evolution, but you are intelligent and disciplined. You would never let a test subject escape. Mistakes like that are beneath you, and you also won't leave any mistake without a resolution.
I never thought I'd hear those words come from you. But if you're saying that out of sympathy, spare me. I know very well that you've never viewed me as an equal. When you were with us, you always had a distant look in your eyes. You don't need to hide it. I know it better than anyone else. The arrogance that comes with being a genius. Nobody likes being treated like that.
Your perspective is entirely born from your habitual way of looking at things. From your perspective, you probably think I'm like you, someone who doesn't fit in. However, I've never placed myself on a pedestal. I just want to distance myself from meaningless noise and look at everything objectively. On the other hand, you have failed to come to terms with who you truly are. You care too much about winning and how others perceive you.
You mean to say that I'm the arrogant one here?
Is that not so? Arrogant and emotionally fragile. You view people as a simple, mediocre collective, while you regard me as one of your kind.
Okay, hold up. Okay, so I had to double check because I'm on Genshin Impact right now for this point that I wanted to make. I had to go double check it. Sorry I had to play this scene for long, but I needed to do that. Okay, so when he mentions the cardinal sin thing, he mentions it actually way earlier in the story quest.
You're right. Understood. Then please wait here as we lock down the perimeter and search with the...
Whether he just
Ignoring people just like you.
is the questioner, as long as you do. Considerations like the acting Grand Sage is trying to seize the Matra's powers. That question was obviously bait. The Matra were once under the influence of the sages, and so were often subject to these bureaucratic traps. The test was strictly unnecessary, though. I hope that our exchange will assure him that I won't interfere with their work this time.
Why is this so complicated?
Excuse me.
Titles and rank inevitably make a lot of things more troublesome than usual.
Excuse me, acting Grand Sage Alhaitham. I've had a question on my mind, and I need to know the answer no matter what. Have we met before?
No. I have no recollection of ever meeting you.
Haha! I thought so too. I asked when I met you for the first time.
Alhaitham, we've apprehended a searcher.
I got myself in with this war.
I would like to ask Siraj.
Make the transaction. Any power generated me in for him. Need to meet at the
Information ends here. Severely hindered our
No.
Detection exam. The breakthroughs on that front. I see.
Papers regarding amnesia.
Will be.
Sarah, are you the case? You asked to hear it?
Expecting much from you to begin with, classmate. I did not approve of it because it came ago, and the Grand Sage at the time.
Here we go. This is the point that I wanted to show.
Asked for my opinion. I did not approve of it because it committed one of the 6 cardinal sins by touching upon human evolution. From violating matters regarding human evolution to attempting the forbidden and fearing none, the 6 cardinal sins are the origin of all evil in this world. They are also what the sages use as a reference when formulating or amending the rules of the academia. My opinion was that Siraj's research was both overly naive and in violation of various core principles. The Grand Sage took some of my suggestions on board and ultimately decided to reject the application.
Boom. Okay, so with knowing this, I may have to put a timestamp. Okay, so with knowing this information about what could be the reason why he was kicked out of the academia, because we have people who are at the academia that have crazy ideas and stuff they wish to do, but guess what? Some of them have ideas that are extremely ambitious that violates the rules. And clear as day, Dottore and everything we know about him when it comes down to this whole experiment shit and how he's more than willing to experiment on people, even children, without a shadow of a doubt, we know that he violated one of the 6 rules, aka about human evolution. And he wanted to transcend being human. He even says it, even in that cutscene where he's revealing everything about himself, right?
Elazar in great depth, secured resources. He was rather fortunate in his career. Zondique turned to Conrian technology and successfully created his segments. But this was not immortality. Even with backup segments, his body would still age. Still, thanks to Snezhnaya, Zondique found the ideal base for his experiments. Then a perfect partnership materialized at a crucial moment. The year that both parties realized they needed more time. Fortunately, Zondique succeeded. In a miraculous turn of events, he gained the extra time he needed.
I seem to recall it differently.
All right, it's true. No matter how much elixir he took, Zondique remained human and continued to age.
He wanted to become something beyond human, but he could not. Even in death, he still was human, in a sense, right? So, like, he blatantly violated one of the rules of this academia, which involves human evolution.
And I'm not saying that there is really anything that could redeem him as the bad guy here, right? Don't misunderstand. We all know this guy is vile to his core, and no amount of lore is going to salvage his reputation. The people who are praising him to be the most evil villain in Genshin. How could someone like Dottore be so evil? Well, I guess we'll never know. It also felt deeply anticlimactic because Dottore didn't really pay for his crimes, nor did he achieve what he actually wanted.
Saying that he didn't achieve what he wanted is crazy, when he blatantly did. What are we talking about? Did you forget the conversation that happened?
Then, on the morning he...
Me!
As no one helped.
Forget.
Lone arrived for a meeting.
Yo, the one in the mask is...
Zondiques were unfazed. It was a rare opportunity for self-deception.
Yo, the one in the mask is tough as fuck.
What does all that have to do with you depositing your data at Northland Bank?
It has made me cherish my time in this world all the more.
Fair enough. So you do have a sense of self-preservation. You're hardly normal, and you don't cherish life. You just don't want to admit defeat in the limited time you have.
Even so, don't I deserve an interesting ending?
Like, this is explaining his motivations here, right here, explaining his motivations for why he did everything. He hated the fact that he was shackled by time, that he has such limited time. He's a nigga who hates the idea of admitting defeat, even with limited time of living. He has expressed his disgust with humanity, even during the Nodcry story, back when he trapped the Traveler. He sat there and explained his disdain for humanity, for not wanting to evolve.
I'm counting on it.
That nigga knew death was coming for him sooner or later. Like, what are we talking about? It didn't explain what he was after and what he wanted to achieve. He achieved what he wanted to achieve, blatantly. His death was what he was achieving. being able to do the things that he wanted to do was the achievement.
They kept the segment alive.
Frozen, the cold.
He was.
It's been that way. From the of mortal.
Well, or like
mortal fear. Something you haven't been acquainted with in a long time, by the sounds of it.
It's so cold.
Feeling quite well indeed. I remember when we first discussed the elixir of immortality. You claimed that it was that prospect of dying a wretched end in this world, don't you?
Who would want to get by that long? Them niggas.
You cannot deny that you too were once human, Dottore. I do not believe that there is no such fear in your heart.
Perhaps you are right. But I abandoned it long ago and devoted myself to my experiments. I have felt no fear since.
This is why I like getting.
From the very beginning, I never thought you could win this game.
Just look how cool.
You came, contract in hand, to honor our agreement. We have discussed, experiments are about more than results alone. The process is equally important. I have come here and completed my creation, and I do not regret my decision.
Wait, what was the creation he completed? An outcome where Irminsul is burned?
I'm afraid your journey ends here.
Which I still believe that this was what he achieved, what he wanted to achieve. The destruction of Irminsul. Because he said that he completed his work. The only thing that we know that he was been doing this time is defying fate or transcending fate. Or like, you know, doing his whole experiment thing. And he clearly achieved it. Clearly. Because now Irminsul is destroyed. He wanted to transcend fate. What better way to transcend fate by destroying something that, you know, dictated people's fate. And now has opened up the opportunity for multiple possibilities that's not so strictly bound by Irminsul's fate-weaving machine. He clearly did the very thing he sought to do.
After I die, there will be no one to make the elixir of immortality, and your remaining stock will only last a few more years. How then will you prove that you didn't perish in this incident alongside...
I never forcibly adjust environment. Many things I choose not to be.
So magnetic.
Like, I just...
It may have been a long time since anyone told you this, Dottore, but I recognize that you are a truly rare talent.
It's kind of interesting. Dottore, without a shadow of a doubt, Dottore has been secretly desiring someone to acknowledge his genius. Because he wasn't accepted in the academia. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Right? For his intelligence. And finally he comes across someone who acknowledges it. Right?
And even Nahida does not acknowledge his intelligence. Well, she acknowledges his intelligence, but she's like, bro, there's a difference between your intelligence and wisdom. And you clearly did not understand that. As they're saying their goodbyes to each other. Anyway, let's continue.
He had no real narrative conclusion with Scaramouche, which is easily his longest standing relationship in the game's lore. And
that's not the only longest standing relationship. That's more that he had in the game. Clearly not, as to what we just learned with Pantalone. Him and Pantalone have known each other for years, if not years longer. Or no, not years longer, because Dottore was around for longer. But actually, they did say some dialogue that made it considered that Pantalone probably was around for a little while longer. But anyway, back to the point with Wanderer. Wanderer got what he wanted. The death of Dottore. That's what he wanted. He got his get back on Dottore. That was the whole point of it. So narratively speaking, yes, he did get his just desserts. Wanderer got what he wanted. He got his get back. What are we talking about? Claiming that he didn't get it is stupid.
Nor did he achieve what he actually wanted. He had no real narrative
I'm gonna be honest. The quest was so underwhelming with addressing his relationship with Scaramouche when it's the longest-standing relationship. And the first, honestly, this doesn't feel like these are his own opinions. This whole video comes off as he's reading other people's opinions and stating them as if they're fact. When you can just go back to the playthrough of the entire playthrough and literally see for yourself whether or not what these people are saying is true. And it's turning out not to be true at all. If you actually go and replay this shit, or rather, just pull up the scenes. First, that we learned how much he wanted someone like himself. I don't know what this person is saying is true about Scaramouche's relationship and how Dottore wanted someone to be like himself. I don't know how true that statement is because I don't believe it to be true. That he wanted Scars to be like him. I don't remember there ever being any dialogue even attempting to make that parallel between the two of them, like they were the same. Every dialogue related to Scaramouche or any interaction related to Scaramouche has been deliberately to manipulate Scaramouche to getting what he wants. It's never been painted as, oh, this he wanted to make someone into someone like himself. That's never been a thing, with the exception of potentially the Traveler, by trying to get the Traveler to join him. That's why he offered his hand to the Traveler, but the Traveler also rejected that and slapped that shit to the floor. So if anything, this is more arguably towards Traveler than Wanderer.
Conclusion with Scaramouche, which is easily his longest standing relationship in the game's lore, and that makes no sense. Dottore is the literal monster who ruined Scaramouche's entire life by murdering his closest friend Niwa and framing it as a betrayal. Dottore experimented on Scaramouche's puppet body, using his Canria tech as a blueprint to build his own segments, the multiple clone versions of himself. Scaramouche is the living anchor to Dottore's past crimes and his current power. So the fact that they didn't get a satisfying conclusion completely robs the story of...
How did he not get a satisfying conclusion when he was the one who helped bring this nigga to death and put this nigga in the ground? What are we talking about? This is a crash out reaction. What the are we talking about? We are literally claiming that he didn't get his get back against the nigga that has done him dirty when he blatantly did. Again, let's go back and listen to that cutscene when they were squabbling. Literally, let's go back, because this is so crazy he's making this claim right now. Actually, this was before this moment. Let's go back a little further.
This is hereby fulfill our...
Let's go back even further, because it was on this scene. Just re-listen to what's being said here, shall we?
Oh shit, the two-man mission going crazy.
Does the prospect of death amuse you?
I can ask you the same question.
He is literally getting his get back here and now. To sit here and frame and act as if Scaramouche did not get his get back, when at the start, before this fight actually kicked off, this nigga tried to use emotional manipulation on this nigga Wanderer. Did we forget what happened? Literally.
So restoring old, like the shape.
Hopefully this thing loads up. It's like, yeah, around here, before the fight even kicks off.
Doubt. I'm sure you'd even be more delighted to learn the full extent of your crimes.
That would hardly be necessary. Besides, isn't there something that concerns you more right now? Something that fills you with dread? Let me put your mind at ease. I have no intention whatsoever of restoring any of the records you deleted. For one thing, it would be exceptionally difficult. but more to the point.
Position. It would be. And what would it be difficult?
Doubt that the prospect of losing your current life is all that frightening to you. Because in your case...
This is evil.
The cruelest twist of fate is that you'll never again have the chance to make up for any of your mistakes. Isn't it?
This is some vile shit right now.
Dottore?
Literally. What are we talking about here? Acting as if he didn't get his righteous get back. Most definitely he did.
So the fact that they didn't get a satisfying conclusion completely robs the story of its biggest payoff. At most, the community theorized that they recognized each other, and that was basically it. Does that sound satisfactory? Because
no, that was not basically it. And on top of that, Scaramouche's personal story isn't done because he still has to go interact with Raiden Shogun, and he still has to go interact with the descendants of the Raiden Gokuden. His personal story isn't even concluded yet. His get back, he got his get back against Dottore, but he got his own personal crimes that he needs to, engage with for past actions that he committed or crimes he committed against the families of the Raiden Gokuden, which we have playable characters who are part of that, like Kazuha and Ayaka and not Yaimiko, but Ayato as well. We have like three characters who are part of the Raiden Gokuden or descendants of the Raiden Gokuden, playable characters. He has to interact with them. We have not seen that yet, and that will come in the future, most definitely. And then, again, Raiden Shogun. We have yet to see him go re-interact with Raiden Shogun and see how all that plays out. It probably expresses his grievances with her and, how he's evolved as a person as time has gone on. And maybe she can put in some words, too. We have yet to see that because the story has yet to have these two interact with each other. Again, we are not at the end of Scaramouche's story yet. He got his get back. That's the end of that. His whole storyline with Dottore, but he still has more story to give.
Because to the community, it just sounds lazy. Thankfully though, the story quest wasn't entirely bad because there is a completely different side to this debate as well. Even the people who hated the plot had to admit the actual execution of the final cutscene was spectacular. Earlier in the story, Dottore deleted his other segments, and the last one standing explicitly cursed him. Seeing him get dragged into the fire by the literal hands of his past segments was a perfect slap in the face to his massive ego. He didn't even fight back because he believed he had already broken the fate system, proving that to him, the process of the experiments mattered way more than the actual results. A specific subset of the community also loved how quiet and peaceful his departure was. They felt the portrayal of his relationship with Pantalone was unexpectedly gentle and tactful. Having Pantalone interrupt and constantly correct Dottore's story made them feel
Look how he's constantly using accounts. These same niggas. He's not using anyone else with a differing opinion who would bite back against these points. He's using the same niggas with the same opinions. He's cycling the same people around. He's been doing that this entire video, acting as if their POVs are the correct POVs on this entire conversation, when it's fucking not.
Incredibly human. I mean, we haven't seen anything like that before, so the change-up is great in of itself. Dying in his own homeland next to the only person he could reasonably call a friend was seen by his fans as a beautifully poetic ending.
Okay, so we're gonna use Dottore fans as the end-all be-all to why it is that this quest was bad, as if their opinion matters more than people who actually use their fucking brain cells and remembered what the fuck happened throughout Acts 9 and 10. Yeah, sure, bro. Just sure. Absolutely. Let's use the retarded niggas' points of views. Okay.
That leaves plenty of room for future speculation, like them apparently being gay. The music and voice acting were
again needing to always make things be gay all the damn time.
As per usual, but the real talking point was the new level of character expression, especially a highly detailed scene featuring Kalle. People joke that the developers spent 2 entire patches handcrafting her movements instead of just letting her stand there like a frozen NPC, which is really funny to be honest, but hopefully the devs can make the dialogue even more expressive where it's appropriate. The cutscenes were also
the dialogue being more expressive. What he meant to say is the models, not the dialogue, because the dialogue by itself is already expressive. Do you not know what an exclamation point is? That's expressive dialogue. What you meant to say, again, is the facial animations, the body movements, make those be more expressive. And Genshin Impact has blatantly been doing that over the last 2 years.
Also great, like the duo ultimate attack between the Traveler and the Wanderer. These are not bad, you know, these are pretty good. But some could argue that this should be the bare minimum. But most of the time
Bro, they literally made a fucking stream, a video, I'm pretty sure it was a video actually, of them talking about why it is they've been a slow, steady build up to this. This whole dual ultimate type shit. Bro, yeah, this is the first time they've done it, but making the boss fights feel more interactive has something they've been doing since arguably Fontaine, my guy. Since arguably Sumeru. Since arguably fucking Inazuma. They've been making boss fights interactive the entire time. If anything, they've only escalated up, escalated it higher so it can feel more cinematic when stuff happens. Again, the boss fight against the Narwhal, that was pretty cinematic, right? Then guess what? They cranked it up higher once we got to Natlan. The Natlan boss fight against the Abyss Dragon, right? That took the form of the Pyro Dragon. Literally, we have a cinematic-esque ult be popped off and pyro slash attack that hits the dragon and explodes on it. It's a whole animated scene. And then we got more of that again with quick time button mashing when it came to, guess what? Columbina and the squad from Nocrai versus Dottore. You know, Moon God Dottore. Had that happen. And then now, later down the line, here we are again. They did it yet again with another story boss fight. They've been doing this repeatedly over the course of 2 years. To sit here and say, they should be doing this more. They've been doing it more the entire time, cornball. What are we talking about?
Where I see it, this was enough to have the defenders go super toxic positivity mode. The moment anyone tried to bring up legitimate criticisms about the terrible pacing or the lack of real stakes, the hardcore defenders immediately shut them down. The go-to response
And it's not even totally being about a lore skip or whatever. It's because y'all are blatantly lying about what the fuck happened. Exaggerating shit that happened. This is a whole 3 hour going on. How long have I been doing this for? This is about a 3 hour and 30-minute long reaction of me disproving all these points about quote unquote the pacing of the story was dragging or whatever. And just on the third. And yeah, niggas are lore skippers. Blatantly. And they show them to be proving that. And it's like, this is the go-to try to deflect shit, which is, have y'all ever considered the story is just sometimes mid or not everyone likes it? There's a difference between not liking it and then blatantly lying about the shit that happens in it. There's a difference between the two. But conveniently, all this is happening, again, conveniently on a quest that ties up loose ends and simultaneously went at a very smooth pace, not too fast, not too slow, just enough so that we can spend time on things that should be spent time on so we can progress through the story. Yet niggas are claiming, oh, it was fast paced. Oh, it was such bad writing because we didn't dive deep into Dottore. Despite the fact we've gotten plenty of pieces of information related to Dottore over the years. They've dived into him plenty enough. And him being kicked out of the academia we already knew the reason why, because he violated one of the 6 cardinal sins of the academia, which is human evolution. Dottore's whole thing is about human evolution. So it's clear as day that he violated that rule. That's why he was kicked out.
Became labeling critics as lore skippers. They accuse you of just clicking through the dialogue or
which y'all blatantly have done. Don't act like y'all didn't do it.
Entirely failing to understand the plot. It completely killed any nuanced discussion. The community became incredibly hostile, with them refusing to even consider the basic reality that a player could pay perfect attention to the story and simply find it mediocre. But besides that,
but the story wasn't mediocre. That's the thing. It is what it was supposed to do. Setup, follow through on setup, spend time with character interactions that, you know, directly correlate to the plot that's going on, giving us their perspectives, their point of views, this, that, and the third, revealing new lore, new information that we getting answers to after all this time, so on and so forth, all the way up to the conclusion of this fucking Archon quest. But to act like that's not what happened, and like, oh, it was just bad for the sake of being bad, and even these criticisms that you have shown have been nothing but vague criticisms, not actually showing any proof of, oh, the dialogue, oh, nothing mad, all this fluff dialogue that could have been cut out, yet no one, not even you, have shown proof of that. Proof of fluff dialogue that could just be cut out and not needed. But yet you want me to believe your criticism is valid?
The analytical players are calling Genshin a potential game. Genshin is a masterpiece when it comes to setting up fascinating concepts on paper, but when it comes to the execution, it always leaves a lot to be desired.
This is the biggest load of lie I've ever heard. This is what happens to Withering Waves. This does not happen to Genshin Impact, where they set up a concept but then fail the setup of the concept. No, this has never been the case.
Just like with the concept of Fatui, it is all if and when, never is. And
oh my god, let's read this. Again, same people he's been bringing up this entire time. Let's read this. They messed the Fatui up so bad that even the what is this? Carbeast writing looks like a proper villain organization in comparison. So now we're bitching about how the Fatui have been presented. The Fatui has been presented as an antagonistic group, not blatant villains. Again, what are we talking about? To sit here and act like that was the whole thing about the Fatui just being blatant evil villains is incorrect, especially with everything we've learned up to this point. They are striving for the goal of breaking the world free from the authority of the gods. Because we know these gods running the world are not real gods. They're posers. What are we talking about? This has been blatant information we've known for years. Let's read this. Personally, I think the criticism here is 100% valid. Our original expectations for the Fatui back in 2022 were that these evil people are part of a society trying to overthrow Celestia, and now half of them are either dead or nice to the Traveler, and it's like, where's the anger, LMAO? Where's the anger towards a group that's trying to free the world from the shackles of unjust gods? Fraudulent niggas who stole this world from the original inhabitants. What are these niggas talking about? This is premium lore skipper logic. What the hell? Are we taking this as genuine criticism? This is premium lore skip logic. Do you read this? Let's read this again. Our original expectations for the Fatui back in 2022 were these evil people. What up? Were that these evil people? Oh, hold up. Let me reread. Our original expectations for the Fatui back in 2022 were these evil people a part of a society trying to overthrow Celestia. Again, Celestia, as time has gone on, has proven to be a not godly, justly, or morally righteous place, nor is the ones ruling it or residing in it. They have blatantly proven to us as time has gone on that the Heavenly Principles is not this malevolent being that's being unjustly overthrown. Oh, no, hold up. I said malevolent. Let me recorrect my word. The story has not painted Celestia as this benevolent being as being unjustly overthrown or being usurped by humans, aka the Fatui, who just want world domination. No, that has never been the case. They completely shattered that logic of that being the case as we explore, as the story continued onward, flushing out the Fatui and what their true actual motivations are. Right? Their motivation is not world domination. The Tsaritsa's plan is to go to war with Celestia for what they did to this world, and the unjust rules they put in place, and so on and so forth. That's the real war against these quote-unquote entities or being these gods from heaven who aren't even gods. Like, this is premium lore skip logic. Anyone who's been paying attention to the lore knows damn well that this is not what's the story painted the Fatui as. Now, half of them are dead, which is fine, by the way. Can the story not kill off their characters or what? Because y'all niggas complain about Genshin Impact not killing off characters, but when they do, now it's a problem. Or nice to the Traveler, aka they have become acquainted with the Traveler because the Traveler has helped them as well as opposed to them. So they have a somewhat mutual friendship going on, naturally, because God forbid a story has the protagonist work with the antagonist in certain situations.
And we have had good quests where they managed to deliver a great story because they focused on one specific thread. Now they are forced to bloat these major updates by forcing as many characters and events into the script as humanly possible.
Now he's claiming they're bloating the story for the sake of it. Now that's what his claim is. Despite the fact these world quests, these limited time events, the entirety of Notcry, as the devs said to us when they released that Notcry teaser trailer or a stream, before we came to Notcry, they literally told us that Notcry was going to be the location in the game where we tie up loose ends related to all this lore stuff that we built up over the last 5 fucking years. And Notcry is doing just that. Why are we complaining about them doing the very thing they set out to do with Notcry story? And claiming that they're just adding it in for the sake of fluff. What? Excuse you?
Resulting in a bloated, messy conclusion that satisfies no one.
Messy conclusion that satisfied no one. Bullshit. It was not a messy conclusion. It was straightforward and properly set up and properly executed.
For a lot of long-term players, this story quest became the absolute...
Same person he showed earlier. I'm pretty sure this is also the same person he showed earlier. And of course, here, they're the Doom posters, obviously. Let's read. I no longer have hope for the story of Genshin Impact. To be honest, I'm just stuck here because I spent so much money already. I can't possibly quit this stupid game. This sounds like a bot account. Let's continue. Man, am I the only one who can't bring herself currently to open the game anymore? Perfect time to take a break from the game, probably. Wow, how conveniently everyone is doing this. So conveniently, right before we go to Snezhnaya. The most story and one of the most story important locations in the whole game. Because we're reaching near the end of the game. But now niggas come out the woodwork conveniently to be like, oh, the game is so bad. The story is so bad, when they know that's not the truth. This is blatant propaganda to make Genshin out to look even way worse than what it actually is. This is blatant. They did this to Xenozone Zero for an entire year, and they're doing it again with Genshin Impact.
Breaking points for their burnouts. People who have logged into the game every single day are now openly admitting that they are ready to quit.
Bro, this ain't nothing new. To act like this is something new is retarded, Glaive. This is blatantly retarded on your part. This ain't nothing new. I saw niggas make videos talking about something they're gonna quit Genshin Impact 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and so on. This ain't nothing new. To sit here and try to paint this as like, oh my god, look how so many people are quitting the game now. Yay, hey, clap our hands like dolphins, thank God. Bro, I've been seeing it for a long time. This ain't nothing new.
The only thing keeping them tethered to the game isn't enjoyment or curiosity about the...
Yeah, you mean the few people who feel that way? Other people don't feel that way. I don't continue playing Genshin Impact because I got fucking sunk cost fallacy. Nor do I feel like, oh man, I'm stuck here and I can't leave the game. I play multiple different gacha games. So that's for one. 2, I play some non-gacha games as well. So, and on 3, I genuinely enjoy Genshin's game and story, which is why I didn't quit it. Wow, is it such a shock that niggas can enjoy this game without feeling sunk cost fallacy or that other bullshit? Can niggas not enjoy the game? Can niggas not be able to enjoy the game without feeling those things? Or needing to feel sunk cost fallacy to justify, oh man, the game is bad, I can quit now. Like, huh? Like, what are we doing here? To act as even if like these people's thought process are the only valid thought process in this conversation is also crazy.
About the future, it is pure sunk cost fallacy. They are stuck in this cycle.
Again, he's using these small numberer people to proclaim that this is the entire Genshin community. It is clearly not the entire Genshin community that feels this way. It is a small portion of them.
Of exhaustion, realizing that the game's formulaic writing isn't going to change, and realizing that their massive financial investments is the only reason they haven't deleted the app yet. But that is another topic for another video.
Bro, this video has been full of blatant lies that's so easy to disprove. Oh my gosh.
video. For now, looking at everything though, what have we learned here? The 6.6 updates of Genshin Impact exposes a pretty glaring issue within the community. The devs are clearly improving in terms of storytelling and choreography, expressive animations and other stuff, but the community's reaction is proving that those improvements just aren't enough anymore when the dialogue is still incredibly bloated and carries not much, if not zero, narrative weight.
Say zero narrative weight, yet I just showed y'all multiple instances where the narrative weight that it hold was directly to the plot and how the characters were feeling, how they were feeling about the situation, how they're feeling for another person also that's a part of the operation that they're in. Yeah, so-called no narrative weight, my ass.
When the script treats the burning of Irminsul, the literal foundation of the entire world's history, with the same exact emotional gravity as a casual joke about dinner and a random argument about tomatoes, you can't expect players to care about a world-ending threat when the characters themselves forget about it 5 minutes later.
They didn't forget about it. It's that there was no more to be said about the issue, because the issue was solved. They prevented the world from being destroyed and the core, most important information of Irminsul from being destroyed when they literally preserved it. What more did they need to add on that? The answer is nothing. There's nothing more to add on to that conversation than what was said. And if we want to be like, oh, what about Celestia's response? Well, guess what? The avatar Irminsul herself told them what she planned to do and gave her reasoning. And guess what? They had no authority to stop her from doing what she was going to do. So again, this is a situation of enough was said, nothing more needs to be said. This is how it is moving forward in the story. What are we talking about?
But I'm curious where you stand in all of this, or if you think the community is just overreacting to the whole thing.
Blatant overreaction. It is such a blatant overreaction. To even argue otherwise is a lie. It's so blatant. It's so blatantly an overreaction. Anyway, I said everything I need to say. There's nothing more for me to add. Make sure you like, sub, turn on the notification bell, join my YouTube community Discord. Link is on my channel. Check out my yapping topics and yapping reaction playlist as well if you want to see my yapping reactions and whatnot to videos that are just as retarded as this. Oh my god. What else? I stream here on YouTube. I play 5 gacha games, those being Genshin, Star Rail, Wu Zenless, and Ardent Infield, along with some non-gacha games, those being Gravity Rush 2, Ninja Gaiden 4, Stellar Blade, Face Iron, and Tales of Berseria. Wait, let me do it again. Gravity Rush 2, Ninja Gaiden 4, Stellar Blade, Face Iron Remnant, and Tales of Berseria. Yep. I play those 5 non-gacha games here on YouTube as well, so if you want to see me play those, subscribe to the channel. Anyway, this was a lengthy reaction. I am sorry it was this long, but I had to go into nook and cranny for everything that was being said here to disprove this entire nonsensical bullshit that was said out of this man's mouth. And now, after this, I'm going to see what the fuck he was saying related to the Djinn King video. Or better yet, I'll pull up his fucking live stream and react to everything he said related to Djinn King calling out his video. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe it'll be a reaction upon a reaction upon a reaction, or just me reacting to his reaction to Djinn King's video. We'll see. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Y'all tell me how you feel about this retarded ass shit in the comment section below, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.